Hello and welcome to the Slow Ready Podcast, a casual drive into the music and culture of Goose. I'm Mike.
And I'm Alex.
I'm Griffin.
And we are back with our... There he is. We are back with our good friend and host of arguably the greatest page on Instagram. You all know them as Griffin's Pickens, to discuss Viva el Gonzo. So, Griff, you already kind of introduced yourself. Tell everyone how you're feeling today.
What's up, guys? Doing pretty good now that I got a little rest following this past weekend, but happy to be here on the pod and love these guys. So, yeah, I'm really excited to hash it out. It's going to be fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to get into it. Before that, just as usual, best way to keep up with us is on our socials. Every platform that you can think of, basically on it. So please give us a follow. We're posting lots of great content, and it's definitely the best way to keep up with everything going on with Goose. And we can't wait to get into Gonzo. And normally this is where we would get into our first segment, Hot Tea, but the news and notes are a little bit light. And obviously we have a ton to cover with these two gentlemen that were down there in Mexico. So I will just throw out there, the Jim James video is on YouTube. Goose uploaded that with the quickness. So if you didn't get a chance to stream Gonzo live, definitely go check that out. It is super worth your while. But as I said, a lot of nights down there in Mexico, and we've got a lot to get into. So we're going to get into our flow down, which is, of course, Viva el Gonzo. So night zero, I'm just going to have y'all set the scene. Just talk me through arrival for both of y'all. Did any of you go to the welcome party, and just kind of thoughts on day zero here?
So I flew in the day before on Wednesday. I didn't go to the welcome party or anything like that. I wasn't a super cool VIP by any means. I just did normal GA. But we had an Airbnb. It was super easy to fly in, get through customs, check in, and we basically immediately went out on the town. And there was an unofficial night zero gathering at Baja Brewing where we got to meet some fellow fans and hand out stickers, and it was really cool. It was super packed. Apparently people couldn't get in, but we went in a little early, thankfully. So great beers, okay food. Really the only okay meal I had all week was at the Baja Brewing, but it was awesome.
Nice.
Good stuff.
I made the poor choice of flying in the day of. So I got there at like 7 a.m. local time. So I missed night zero. And we can come back to that a little bit later. But yeah, that definitely didn't do great for my stamina going into the evening. But yeah, I wish I would have been there on night zero in hindsight. But rookie mistake that I've made multiple times at this point, and I'm definitely not going to do it again. So
Yeah, dude, you got to get the extra day up front.
straight up,
Every year that goes by, man.
Going backwards in time, that was not chill. So yeah. Normally I'm going, forwards in time, going to see him on the East Coast, so it's kind of helpful, but not this time around. So lesson learned. Still had a great time.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Well, any other thoughts since you were there night zero? Any other thoughts about like just getting into town in Cabo? Anything else of note for you, Alex?
You can immediately feel like the magic of San Jose del Cabo. It's such a cool town and awesome to go around in. Like I said, the Baja Brewing was like the only okay meal I had because every other meal was like world class, outstanding, and great drinks everywhere. You can just like walk up to any place and get something crazy and amazing. So it was really really cool, and like I was already getting super hyped just from like going out for dinner.
Yeah, I feel the same, honestly. Like even when we got in that morning, like I've been to other parts of Cabo and it's like super touristy and whatever because there's like I don't know, there's multiple different parts of Cabo and this place is kind of the more low key area from what I've read and what I experienced when I was there. And like first thing we did when we landed was we went to the grocery store, and like I'm like, man, this grocery store is nicer than any grocery store that I have back home. So that was like the first green flag, and then kind of smooth sailing from there on out. Yeah, I was really impressed with the locale, so it was good.
Hell yeah.
Amazing.
Mike, you got to come, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, hopefully someday. Um, well, so before we get into night one and getting to the festival and everything like that, there was a private show, and Griff, you were there, correct?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be there. It was pretty cool. Um,
So I've only seen clips. Tell us what it was like. We've got the set here. It looks like it was Butter Rum, Iguana Song, Meter Maid, Cantaloupe Island, Lead the Way, Doc Brown, Caution, and Echo of a Rose. So a lot of songs for
yeah,
a special set there.
yeah, and so like just to like set the scene, I was super grateful to be there. Like that was super awesome. It was like I don't want to. I mean, it was on a rooftop. It was probably about like I don't know, 6 stories up, something like that. Not like crazy high up, but like you're raised up off the ground, obviously, and like there's like a cool mural behind them, and like you can see the mountains and like a infinity pool behind them and stuff too. So like the setting was really cool, and I actually got up. They started earlier than they were supposed to, and so I got there in the middle of Butter Rum. Um, and like I come off the elevator and like you literally are just like looking at them, and there's probably like 50 or 100 people there, and there's like I don't know if y'all saw the hacky sack kids or not, like on the Instagram reels or anything, like, but the hacky sack kids were at the VIP set and they were going crazy, man. Like, not in a bad way. Like, they were like doing like cannonball contests in the infinity pool while the band was playing and stuff. It was like kind of hilarious to watch. But as far as the music goes, yeah, so Butter Rum I came in towards the end of like the vocals. Was there for the jam. It was a pretty standard jam. It was fun. Iguana Song, that was like to me, that was the highlight of that set. I haven't heard any like super jammed out or like transcendent Iguana songs, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like I really love Iguana Song. It's one of my favorites from like the new albums last year, but like this one was like
Yeah.
really spacey. Rick went
Ooh.
into like I don't know, they kind of they got spacey and like Rick went into like a like vocal jam in Sanskrit is what it sounded like. Honestly, I have some clips on my phone that I can share of that jam specifically, but I remember just being like, man, what is even going on? And like having to remind myself that Iguana Song is what we're in, and they inevitably like came out of that space and like went back into the tag of Iguana Song and like finished the song properly. So I thought that was really impressive. Um, Also, before I go any further, the set itself was like kind of like bare bones. Like Cotter didn't have his full kit, so it was like whatever house kit they had up on the rooftop bar. I think that's what Cotter was playing. And then Peter just had his orange Yo Vote keyboard. So like that's all they had, and they were still doing a lot. So that was really cool. Meter Maid was fun. That one once again got spacey, and I've heard Cantaloupe Island before a few times. I didn't register that tease or that jam in there, but the jam was still tasty. And a lot of fun. I wouldn't say it was unlike any other meter maid I'd heard, but it was still, a good one. I'm trying to think. Remind me of what came next.
That was
Lead the
Cantaloupe
way.
Island and then Lead the Way.
Lead the Way again, a good song to hear. I think it had been a little while since they played Lead the Way. And my buddy that I was with was like chasing it because he hadn't heard it in a
Nice.
while, so he was like freaking out. And I'll be transparent, I went to the bathroom during that song, but it was still nice to hear. And then Doc Brown, always a treat. Peter was shredding. They gave him a lot of space to do so. And then Caution was a lot of fun too. And then, Echo was pretty standard. It felt like they maybe wanted to get out there a little bit with Echo, but I think they were bumping up against time restraints. So they just kind of, let it be. But it was still really cool. I think, like I said, the iguana song was unlike any iguana I've heard. So that was the highlight for me. And then just like seeing them play in such a bare bones format was really cool. So
Yeah, man. That's like old school Goose vibes in a lot of ways. And
yeah, it felt like that, honestly. So that was cool to experience because I didn't get to experience them in the super small clubs like that in 2018 or anything. So it was a fun experience, very worthwhile.
I did see a clip of Iguana Song where where Rick was doing like the O'Teal Burbridge singing the same notes you're playing thing. So if you have more clips of that, that'd be
That
really
might be
cool.
what it is. Yeah, no, I have like a minute long clip of that. I'll send it to you. It's pretty sweet. So
Yeah, man. And I'll send you some acoustic clips. We'll get to that later.
yeah, I need that.
This is music to my ears that Iguana Song was the highlight of a show, even a small show. I don't care.
I
Amen.
know. I'm like, I almost feel like I don't know, like I'm saying the sky is falling or something like that because like people are like, I don't believe you, and there's like no recording to show people how crazy and awesome the iguana song
Yeah,
was, and like, and I think maybe that's why they did it. They like to play their little games,
yeah,
but whatever. I've got it for myself.
Yeah, there's no
yep.
evidence of this. You could just be bullshitting us.
Right? Exactly. Whatever.
Any other thoughts here on the private show before we get into night one?
No, that's really it. Like,
Oh.
the hacky sack guys were going hard from the jump. I got to respect the game there. And then, the show concluded and my buddy went back to the Airbnb, but I spent some time on the beach and then went over to the venue and got in at doors. So that's about all I got.
That kind of teased me up perfectly here. So, either one of y'all, what was the process like getting to the festival? And then for those of us who weren't able to make it, can you like after you go through getting to the festival, kind of talk us through like what the grounds were like, how everything was set up, and all that good stuff?
I mean, like honestly, when I went through this, Alex, you went last year, right?
No, this is my first
Oh,
time.
okay.
So
Okay. I thought you did. Yeah, I mean, I showed up and like I'm just kind of like, all right, here we go. And kind of when I first showed up, like, there's a lot of like vegetation and stuff and like just gravel paths. So it almost felt like you were in like a corn maze or something like that. Like,
Hmm.
it wasn't like you could just wander all over the festival grounds. There was like designated trails that took you to where you needed to go. So like kind of I walked for a while and I'm like, where is this all leading? And then finally it did open up and I could see, the merch booth and all the food vendors and the bars and the sound booth and then finally the main stage. I didn't find the second stage until it was time to go over there later in the day. But yeah, I would say, it felt a little confusing at first, but like once you figured out that like none of the trails just like dead end or anything like that, like I felt pretty safe. It's like as long as I'm on this trail, I can get to where I need to go. So
did you go in from
Awesome.
the Crania side, or did you go in from like the path that took you through the Round Rocks?
I went in through the path on the Crania side, I think, because
Okay.
most of the other day that was the only day I went in that way, and then most of the other days I went in through near the Round Rocks. So maybe that's why it felt a little bit more confusing or just kind of disorienting at first. But yeah, I mean, as far as festivals go, like I feel like a lot of festivals are just like you walk in and it's almost like overstimulating. You're like, where do I go? But like this one was just like follow the path and you'll get there. So
Yeah, I never went in through that side. That's why I was curious. I only went through
okay,
so we took Uber everywhere because it's
nice.
insanely cheap
Hmm.
and takes 1 minute every time you call an Uber in Cabo for some reason. I was literally tipping all of them $5 because every ride was under $5. Um, and yeah, from that side, you go in through the Round Rock stage actually, Mike. So you like walk through the path to get your wristband or whatever, and then you walk right through the Round Rocks formations right past the stage, and then there is one of those trails like Griff was saying, and then it opens up to like this vendor area under these trees that was really cool with like local art and like food and stuff. And that's where they had the thing where you could press prints on your shirt and all that. And then it opens to another section that's like all these art displays, and that's where you could find yellow and red doing the whole like passport thing that they were doing that no one could keep up with because they sent about 700 text messages about that. Um, and then it opens up to another path again to the main stage, and that's where I actually bumped into Griff on the first day. Literally, like the only time we got to hang out, really, I feel like, because
Yeah.
we were just both all over the place. Um, and yeah, like you said, there was all the food, the merch, all that. So it was it was pretty easy to navigate once you got the lay of the land. But at first, it was a little like, whoa, this is big and intimidating.
I will say like the food at the festival was like super solid. It was insanely good.
So good.
And the like non-alcoholic beverages were reasonably priced. Like water for $3. Like that's a pretty good
Okay.
deal compared to other festivals, you know, like um alcohol prices, say what you want, they're gonna get theirs no matter what at any festival. I kind of figured that was gonna be the case going into it, but everything else was super reasonably priced, and I thought the event staff were super nice, super kind, super understanding. So the setup overall was great, and lots of grass too. I want to like kind of
Mhm.
reiterate that, like the at the main the not the what's the rocks called, Alex?
The Round Rocks.
The Round Rocks, yeah. The Round Rocks, obviously, there's a bunch of gravel and stuff. Really cool stage setup there. Um, but like at the main stage, like I saw so many people with their shoes off. It was a really cool setup. So that was nice.
Yeah, I basically did not wear shoes for 1 second of Goose
Yeah.
the entire run.
You could engage full hippie mode without even, questioning it. It was like this is where my feet belong, is in this open grass.
Oh yeah. Just real quick before we move on, we talked about two of the stages, but Crania was where you took the hike from, and that was actually a really cool stage too, Mike, because it was all like this repurposed like shipping containers and stuff that made up like the bathrooms and the buildings there. And
Okay.
then there's all this like abandoned construction equipment all around the stage, and it's just like a total vibe out there. You feel like you're in like a desert Burning
My
Man style sitch.
My buddy compared it to Mad Max, and that's honestly kind of
Yes.
how it felt. Like literally, like you're
Love it.
saying, like shipping containers, or like Rust from Modern Warfare 2 is really what it found like, or it
Yeah.
felt like. That's probably a better description, but yeah, no, that stage was cool, Alex. You're right.
I wish I spent more time there, but I can't hang like I used to. I didn't make
Yeah,
much of the late night happen.
agreed.
Well, what about like any of the pre-show acts? There were quite a few. I mean, we had Kitchen Dwellers, Corey Wong, Dogs in a Pile, Michaela Davis was at the round. Did y'all hit any of these?
I was at Kitchen Dwellers, and I was at Corey, and I was at Dogs briefly, but I didn't make it for Michaela. What about you, Alex?
Okay.
So I ping ponged to all of them on night one.
Okay.
I was ambitious. I mean, Kitchen Dwellers, we were kind of still like picking up our merch we pre-ordered and stuff, but we checked them out, and like it's like jam grass, like very green sky bluegrass kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Thought they were pretty good. And then we bounced over to Michaela because we love Michaela. Actually, speaking of Green Sky, we saw her open for them years ago and hadn't seen her since, like outside of like watching her on Nugs or whatever on guest spots. And she she was awesome. And we just happened, I like turned around at one point and Stuart Bogey's right there. So I handed him a bunch of our stickers, Mike, and I was like, "Hey, we love when you guest, man. I hope you guest this weekend." And sure enough, he guested like half
The
the
whole
songs.
weekend.
The whole weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Have,
that
have,
was
had
Amazing.
you
cool. And
seen had you seen Kitchen Dwellers before, Alex?
no, no, never.
I think that was like my third time, and they're a lot of fun. Like they do some fun covers, and like there's certainly like hippie bluegrass. Like what's his name? Like starts off the show with his dreads in the bun, and then
Yeah,
like halfway through the show, the dreads come out of the bun, and you're like, hell yeah, dude. So they're a fun show for sure.
yeah, they were great. It was a good way to kick things off for sure. And like
Yeah,
they had a pretty good crowd there from the jump. Like
yeah,
I feel like the crowd people were talking about from last year's Gonzo as like being like full capacity was like what was there by the time the Kitchen Dwellers were finishing up their set, which is
yeah.
kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, no, I from what I've heard, the festival was a lot more packed out this year, so that was good, and
Hmm.
obviously you want that. So, um, Corey Wong,
Hmm.
that was somebody that I had never seen before. I've never seen Peck either, and I was a little surprised by his stage presence. Like he puts on like a good show. Um, there's not like any one moment that sticks out to me, but I was like, okay, like, this is what funk music is about. So I'm glad he's carrying that on.
Yeah, man, that band is tight, dude. Like they are
Yeah.
just they don't make a single mistake the entire set. It feels like.
No.
Um, And casually for that too, the coolest part about this festival, Mike, is like all the artists are just lingering around in the crowd. So like
Oh, sure.
3 out of the 4 guys from Eggy were just like chilling in different places in the crowd, just like get to say like hi real quick. And Cotter was also at Michaela Dales. Forgot to bring that up, but everyone was bugging him, so I didn't want to add to that. Um, but like that's just fucking cool. And the Eggy guys were like at everything all night, which was, I kept being like, oh hey, um, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, Corey was awesome. I've seen him a few times. I've seen Wolfpack a few times at festivals and things like that. One time with Corey in the lineup, one time without. So always sick to see him.
Yeah, that was my first time seeing him. That was the only act that you got to see from sitting at the couch. So, um, I thought it was a really cool show, and he had I can't remember. I don't know any of his songs, of course, but he had like a bliss jam where the horn started to join in late after he had already kind of tore it up, and I was very impressed because I always just think of him, as the fast, rapid playing rhythm funk guy, but he was showing some lead skills that I had no exposure to, so it was great.
Oh yeah, man, he can rip. He can rip.
Yeah, he
Absolutely.
definitely can.
The only other one was Dogs in a Pile, and they were awesome. I don't have the name of the song, but they debuted a new song that was pretty cool. I forget the name of it because I didn't write it down when they were saying it. But if anyone wants to look, I think it was the third song of the set. Pretty cool. Um,
Those guys are
didn't
super
do
good
anything.
for how young they are. Those guys are super good. I think they're all like 25 years old. Like that's crazy to me.
It's crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I've seen them
yeah.
a bunch of times. They're
Mhm.
pretty awesome.
Mhm.
There are local guys here in Jersey, so it's like
Got to
always
see
kind of
him.
get a little proud seeing them continue to
Yeah.
grow. But they were great. They didn't really jam too hard by any means. I think their longest jam was like 10 or 11 minutes, longest song, but it was good for an hour set. I think it was good exposure for them.
You can only do so much with that amount of time as far as a guest spot at somebody else's festival. Do you really want to do a 4 song hour set, or do you want to, kind
Yeah.
of promo the music? So,
Yep.
Yep.
100%.
mhm.
Anything else to get into before we get into the goose set, the main event?
Nah, let's get into some goose.
Yeah.
All right. Well, which one of you wants to read set list one? It's got to be one of the two people that was there, though, for sure. It
I'll
can't
do
be
set
me.
list one. So just
Okay.
straight from the top.
Yeah, all the
Yeah, you
way
can just
through.
go all the way through, and then we'll break it down song by song.
Okay. So we got Bear, which is the Shouting Matches cover. SOS, Doctor Darkness, Silver Rising, Mr. Action, and then Hey Joe, which is a Jimi Hendrix cover, and then uh, Corey Wong was on Mr. Action and Hey Joe, so that was pretty cool.
All right.
Definitely.
Do you want to keep going through set two, or
Yeah, I can read that too. We got Interlude 2 from Moon Cabin, and then Jive 1, and then Electric Avenue into Wisteria Lane, which I texted Alex the next day. I was like, it's crazy that that was inverted, but love to see it. And then So Ready Closer. And the entire second set had Stuart Bogey sitting in on whatever woodwinds he felt like fitted the song.
Oh yeah.
uh,
Um,
Let's take it beat by beat here. Let's start
yeah,
off with Bear.
Alex.
Let's
I mean, what a cool way to start a show. The song just rips and it got another jam on it. The song has definitely grown on me with every play. Like I came out of Goosemas being like, that was sick, but like it was maybe like my fourth favorite cover of the run, and now I'm just like obsessed with this song. Um, and the jam on it kind of had like if Drive and Dustin Hoffman's kind of general jam had a baby, just had that kind of vibe to it with some really like cool soaring guitar work from Rick throughout, and you could feel like the driving keys from Peter, and obviously Trevor and Cotter always locked in. So it was just basically one huge sustained like rock peak to get things going.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. I was gonna say it's like a pretty like hard kind of jam, but also with like funk over or undertones, like and it was cool to see like that as the opener, and for them to jam it out a little bit. That was really cool. And as far as them bringing it out of Goosemas, I think that's the longest jam they've played on it, if they've jammed on it at all. So I think that was really cool to see. And yeah, I don't know how they found this band, because if you look them up on Spotify, like they've got like not a they've released like one album, and that song is on that album, and it's from like 2004. So great work on those guys. It was good.
Yeah, it was killer. I mean, it's a Justin Vernon side project, Bon
Is
Iver
that what it
fan. So
is?
that's
Okay,
how Rick found it.
interesting.
well, Rick loves Justin Vernon, so um I agree with both of you. I thought this was a great start. AAT mentioned the other day that a young kid from Toronto, like 8 or 10 years old, ran into the band the day before and said it'd be awesome to open with this. So I think it's pretty neat that they
Oh,
did.
cool.
Um, yeah, I thought this was a great start. The first part kind of sounded like a little bit of like trippy Ted Tapes, Moby style vibes, and Tweaks was just thumping along. But I thought it really took off when Peter like introduced this like circular pattern that they all kind of latched onto, and from there it just really soared with like Rick and Cotter getting extra aggressive. But um, killer way to open the show.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
can't stop, won't stop either.
Right.
No, the fun keeps going because we get another massive SOS Dawn, which has been kind of the usual method here early in 2026, but I think this is probably the best of the bunch out of the 3 or 4 we've seen.
Yeah, what'd
Yeah,
you
I
think,
mean,
Griff?
yeah, I like first set dawns. I mean, what the hell? Or SOS, I should say.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, like it was one of those where you just kind of lose track of space and time. I don't know much about music theory or anything like that, but I just remember like feeling and hearing a lot of crazy things during that jam. And you know, just going back to the structure of it is like kind of cool, or I like the fact that they're just like, hey, we're gonna start busting down 30-minute SOS Dons in the first set. Like, I'd like to
Yeah,
see that continue. So,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the year of Dawn apparently.
right?
SOS, whatever you want to. It's
Yeah,
the jam is Dawn.
yeah.
Uh, you know, I don't want to get into
It's all correct.
the whole fight about it. It's all right, yeah.
Semantics.
Yeah, it's semantics. Yeah, exactly.
But it's the jam was like a clav party to start, and then like Peter decides to just switch over to the keys, and it's like this chunkier funk sound that they completely pivot to and ride that to the finish line. But really, not a lot of notes on this. Just that it was like a dance party that just felt like it was never going to end in a good way.
Yeah, I think the Dons are always a dance party. I thought the cool part about this one was that, like you said, when Peter switches to piano, they kind of hit this like driving rock section that sounds like it might come after an echo or an arrow.
Hmm.
Um, and I felt like that driving rock section, when he does come back to organ at the end, it just hits all the much harder because of that. And so to me, this one actually will probably be on my playlist for a little while because I just thought it was a really cool Dawn and they're all a lot of fun, but this one was also interesting.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah, I'd love to see it.
Then Doctor Darkness and Silver Rising back to back,
I don't,
except one usual flavor.
yeah, I don't have much to say about those. I love hearing both of them. I don't think either of those took off in an unusual fashion. Pretty standard set one songs to hear, but always happy to hear them. So,
Yeah,
Totally.
I'm a big Doctor Darkness sympathizer, but it felt a little out of place after that opening 1-2 punch. It was almost like you'd expect the Doctor Darkness to open the set, kind of like it normally does, or something. With that being said, though, the crowd around me, like everyone was like super singing along to this, so clearly it validates my opinion that like this song doesn't suck. Like some people will say online, and yeah, we were belting along with everybody. And then Silver Rising, not a lot on this one either, just that it's continuing the kind of marimba heavy intro. So that's like just going to be the new standard for 2026, at least with Silver Rising. That gives it more of that chill feel to start, at least.
and I think
Yeah.
the marimba feel like you're talking about, or that little intro that they're kind of building up, it like kind of adds to the suspense or whatever they're building like throughout the song for when like Rick finally just like starts shredding. So yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Doctor Darkness, Alex. I got to be real, but I do and I'm not a hater on Doctor Darkness, to be clear. But Silver Rising, of the songs that don't get jammed out, Silver Rising is one of my favorites to hear. So it was great to hear that night.
It's like a song that's like in everyone's top 10 for like a minute when they first hear the song. I feel like
Right? Yeah.
everyone gets obsessed with it for like the first few plays, at least.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
The only the only thing I'll add is just from a structure standpoint, yeah, Doctor Darkness and Silver Rising, you might expect them early, but I actually kind of like them here because we already got some great improv on the first two. So,
Yeah.
considering they already met me with like great jams on the first two tracks, it's just like, yeah, whatever you guys want to do the rest of the way, like we're already set here. So, it was pretty awesome.
Totally.
And then Corey Wong gets on stage and kind of dominates two songs. So,
I felt like dominated is a great word. I felt like when they got into that Mr. Action Jam and he started soloing over it, I was like, this guy has just like, you know, taken the bull by the horns. I'm like, golly,
yeah,
dude. Like that, I mean, and again, going back to like what I said earlier when I was talking about his solo set, I was like, I heard good things, and he actually surprised me. Like he really surprised me with that solo. I thought he played great there, and I'm a Mr. Action guy, the same way Alex is a Dr. Darkness guy. I love Mr. Action, and I was wanting to hear it this
yeah.
past weekend. So that with the Corey Wong sit in and him just kind of like giving it all he's got, like I love that. So
And I really love the idea of guest spots like this too, where like Mr. Action's another kind of divisive song. I'm also a Mr. Action sympathizer, and I mean, it gets a lot of hate online too. Like at least on the Twitter and Blue Sky stuff I see, which I should
Mhm.
probably just stop reading. Um, but yeah, adding like that extra dimension, and then obviously Corey Wong just rips on it, and it's this amazing, slow, smooth build that just erupts by the end. I just loved it, and I think that that's a good way to get people to change their minds on a song, or maybe not go to the bathroom every time they hear the opening notes or whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't realize there were so many Mr. Action haters out there. I kind of think like out of the 10-minute songs that have an amazing Rick solo, like Mr. Action may literally be my favorite of that group. Um, it's always got like one of, if not the most fiery Rick solo in my opinion of the songs that hit that range. So I thought it was cool flipping on its head and putting Corey Wong as kind of the captain of it at this time around.
Yeah, I think it's just people. If the song isn't like a jam vehicle, people just inevitably hate on it on comment threads.
Agreed. They don't give it any credence, which is annoying. You know, those songs are there for a
Not
reason.
everything can be 20 minutes.
Right, exactly. So whatever. It was
Yeah.
great to hear. I really wanted to hear it going into the
Yeah.
weekend. So
And then Hey Joe, out of freaking nowhere. I mean, outside of Rick, Jimi Hendrix is by far my favorite guitarist. So for me at home, like this was just hands in the air. Like this is,
I'm not
I
even
hope they do it
kidding.
again at some point.
I'm not even kidding. Like the spun hippie with his shirt off in a ponytail right next to me before Rick even starts playing the song. He goes, "It's Hey Joe." I already know it. Like he said it. Like he turns to the screw. I'm like, "What the hell are you even talking about, dude?" And then like, it's fucking Hey Joe. I'm like, "Dude, what? Like, how did you even call that? Like, what did you hear? Like, what plane are you on?" But then like, it ended up being like such an incredible. I mean, like, it's nothing. Is what, like 5 or 6 minutes? I think I can't remember how long it was,
Mhm.
but like. Rick really, he grabbed it there, and Corey, I think, took a back seat and let Rick kind of like make that song his own. I was talking to a guy that kind of grew up in the Connecticut area, and apparently, even though this is the first time it's been played with Goose, this isn't the first time Rick has played it. Apparently, he played it a lot growing up with his past bands, so it was kind of
Oh, cool.
a first time played for Goose, but kind of a bust out for Rick with Goose, apparently. So that kind of gave me some background as to why he was able to shred so hard. I mean that song killed. So that was the highlight of the first set for me, even over that Big Dawn. So
That's
I
an
mean,
amazing nugget of news.
that's an awesome. Yeah, we don't have the good archives with the older stuff, unfortunately. Like for as modern of a band as Goose is, we say it all the time. It's like we got to figure out how to pull some of these old shows and get the set lists and stuff.
agreed.
But huge surprise, man. You're absolutely right. And my wife Sarah just like lost her shit immediately. Like we love this song. Uh, and I thought it was really well done. I like you said, Griff. Like it was really the Rick show, and it seemed like Corey was just up there for the vibes, like the good vibes, and letting Rick do his thing. But I'm here for that, and the crowd went absolutely nuts for it. And like Rick's voice sounded absolutely magical on it. So here for this one to stick around.
Agreed.
Yeah, I said the same thing when they did Jimi Hendrix Fire at Hampton though, and that hasn't come back. So um
What are we
hoping for
doing?
better luck with this.
What are
Mike
we
with the
doing?
stats. Yeah, straight up. We'll see though.
So any other thoughts on set one before we get into set two with Mr. Stuart Bogey?
That's all I
No, I
got.
don't think so.
All right, well then let's start off with thoughts on this interlude two and Jive one, which is it was a very interesting call. I was definitely commenting on it at home, like this is kind of wild to see. Don't really know what the thought process is here, but it's not really ordinary circumstances with Mr. Bogey on stage. So
I think maybe they wanted to give him some space to kind of I feel like that may have been a little bit of a sound check song, so to speak. Like,
There you go.
let's see if Bogey's dialed in a little bit and kind of get him warmed up. But it's always good to hear an interlude from Moon Cabin. Like, it's good to hear any Moon Cabin
Yeah,
song, I should say. But like when the interludes come into play, I mean, how often do you get that? So that was cool. Um,
sure.
Jive one, also always a treat, even though I'm a Jive two over Jive one guy, but I still love Jive one. So yeah, I thought I you know I feel like typically set two opens with a big jam, and that wasn't the case here. So again, kind of with the unique set lists, I think they were sticking to that theme on night one. It's like hit them with an interlude, hit them with a song that jams but doesn't jam, and we'll see where the night takes us.
Uh, so as soon as this started, I texted Mike, "Trifecta, you cowards!" And then,
He did.
I was just joking around, but I do still have yet to see a Jive Lee somehow. It dodges me by one show every time. Um, but Interlude Two is a cool way to open a set in general. Like I think it's a cool vibe, even if it didn't go into Jive One. Like I think it's just an interesting way to kind of like you said, get roll into a set, Griff. And on the paper set, it was supposed to be a Jifecta with a David Gray cover in the middle. They completely changed the second set here. Um,
Was it
so
Please Forgive Me
originally it
on
was
the paper set list?
yeah, it was Jive One, Please Forgive Me, Jive Two, Jive Lee, Rosewood Heart, and then So Ready. So
That
completely changed it.
is that is just absolutely, that makes me want to cry. I didn't see that. Wow, I wish I never heard that, but it's all good. Sorry, Alex, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I knew while Alex was saying this that this is gonna be the reaction, like, "Oh, man, you
Man,
might not even wanna bring it up."
I gotta give people the news. Like I'm sorry,
I
but
agree.
that that was a little heartbreaking because I was like, oh man, I was just totally kidding around. But if that actually happened, that would have been insane. Um, but I mean, it was still insane. This set, I absolutely love this set. So there's no complaints here by any means. Stewart on Jive One worked way better than I thought it was going to work when they started the song up. I was like, where is this going to go? And I didn't think it was going to be bad. I just didn't know how it was going to sound. And it was a little bit of like that New Orleans street band funk vibe to it with some really great back and forth from Bogey and Rick towards the end. And, just a reminder of what a treat it is whenever Stewart guests.
Yeah, his chemistry with Rick is off the freaking charts. I'll keep saying it, but I've never seen a guitar player have such chemistry with a horn player as the way that those two can mind meld. It's absolute insanity.
Insane.
But how about this Electric Avenue, the Goat Avenue?
I mean, it certainly got out there. I mean, that's another one that was just spacey, and um, I think that's a little bit of a divisive cover too. Like some people don't like it as a cover, and I happen to love it every time I hear it. But yeah, I mean, this version was special. A lot of times you just get a type one jam, so to speak, and I don't know if this one was technically type two. Like I said, I don't dig into the music theory piece, but it definitely went more out there than other Electric Avenue jams do. And yeah, it felt like they kind of, I don't want to say lifted off, but kind of like floated a little bit, like they ascended. I mean, they were just a little bit above the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah, and I think that's apparent right from the jump too, because it starts off in like that really like triumphant zone that peaks early, and Bogey doing like the who knew the clarinet was like the coolest instrument ever in a jam band because it makes things like so trippy sounding. And yeah, they float in that section, and then it kind of turns a little darker and sinister when Rick's tone starts getting gritty. And Stewart and Peter kind of like lock onto that immediately and read the situation perfectly with, Stewart again hitting those like extended clarinet notes that are really kind of like off putting but amazing. And then Peter's you know, playing these traditional keys that sound like you're in like some haunted church or something. I don't know. And then yeah, Cotter also locked in. Oh my god. I had literally that's my only notes is Cotter. Oh my god. Um, and I watched the
He's so
section
good
back
in the
from the jam.
pocket. Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't mean to.
No, he is.
I'm just trying to think about how to describe it because like that's literally all I wrote down. But I watched that section back so many times, and he's doing this like perfect rolling toms riff thing that he continues to add more and more like cymbal to it that just continues to raise the energy up through this dark section, and then you're like smacked in the face with like the best transition maybe I've ever seen Goose do with this Wisteria lane that just like where did this come from? Like what the fuck is happening here? And yeah, lost my shit for that too because I've been wanting a big Wisteria for a long time, as Mike knows.
And backwards, like I said earlier, like backwards from the way they normally do it. Like normally, like if Electric Avenue would have come out of Wisteria, I'd have been like, oh, typical. But like
Hmm.
the way it happened, the way it went down, like that was really cool. And I thought the jam in Wisteria was pretty solid. Like sometimes that jam gets kneecapped, so to speak, I feel like. And sometimes they kind of just noodle on that jam a little bit. I feel like they really found their footing there. And I'm using this term, but I don't want people to get the wrong whatever. But like it felt like a hose a little bit. Like it felt like they kind of just like were laying it down and feeling the vibe and not second guessing their decisions and just kind of letting the music take them where they were taking them. So
Yeah, Mike, do you have any thoughts on Electric Avenue or Wisteria?
Yeah, well, I'll say if you want me to ramble, it's going to be about the Electric Avenue because that was my highlight of the whole night.
Yeah, dude, go for it.
But uh, the punchy marimba piano is here to stay. I'm here for that. The circular step up pattern they have early is fantastic because it engages absolutely everyone on stage. It feels like a throwback jam coming out of an unexpected cover. It's hard to say who makes the change to the darker tones, but it seems like everyone kind of does simultaneously and very quickly over like a 10-second span, which really reminded me of the early dark section from Goosemas Arrow. Um, had a really, really great peak on it. I was just absolutely flabbergasted that that came out of the Electric Avenue. Wisteria was probably highlight. They're like highlight A and B. But yeah, very atmospheric and sparse, but the like haunting, dark, jazzy vibes. Um, and Trevor was just on absolute fire in the first half, lifting both Rick and Stewart up with like super dramatic descending melodic lines. Um, that Wisteria was beastly.
agreed.
Yeah, it's the bogey effect, man. Like we said
Yeah,
about
he has an
Goosemas,
effect.
and you could feel it was going to be a different Wisteria. Not necessarily meaning it's like better or worse than any past versions or like on the totem pole. I don't really give a shit about ranking goat versions right now, but this one just felt like different. And
Yeah,
Trevor really took over early, like you said, in that spacey zone, Mike, and that was some of the most beautiful playing he did all weekend in this
He's been
Wisteria.
leading some of those jams, I swear. Like they'll come
oh
out
yeah.
of they'll come and he just kind of, starts literally laying the thunder down. Like the whole crowd can hear it and then the rest of the band locks in and that was definitely one of the best representations all weekend. So
This is Trevor's year. Like, I mean, he really is like just taking the reins more and more often, and people are just like, "Yeah, we're going where he's going."
right? Yeah, agreed.
I will say the only other thing I got to shout out to my guy Peter because he's also playing much more assertively this year. And there was one point during this Wisteria, I noticed it more in person than listening back. But like Stuart Bogey's like trying to go into another like lead riffing section late, and Peter's like, "Nah, dude," and he starts playing this like driving keys riff, and like Bogey just like backs off in a good way, and it's like steps back to admire Peter, and it's like looking over and vibing with him. So I thought that was really cool that he's like, "Listen, I'm being more assertive this year and not just hanging back all the time."
And like on top of that, like side whatever piggybacking, Bogey was great at listening to the band and like realizing
Yep.
like, hey, I need to stop playing now, or like this would be good to add right here. Like you, if you watch him on the stream, like when I was watching back on the stream, I was too far away to actually see what he was doing on stage. But like if you watch him on the stream, like he's looking at the band like the whole time, like he's
Oh,
listening.
sure.
So that was cool.
He, he's the man, dude. I love that guy. Like,
Yeah.
if they decided to sign him up, like I would not be opposed to Spida saying like, like we don't want horns in the band full time. Like he's like the one exception.
I mean, the 11-minute mark of this Wisteria is like exactly why you bring someone like Stewart in, because like I feel like right around that moment is where you can like hear all of the chaos perfectly, but he doesn't take anything away from the best of what they're all doing. He just makes it all more interesting.
Hmm.
And that's like kind of like right before Rick, decides to go major key and everyone kind of follows him to the Blissy side of this. But before that, you just like get a glimpse of like what they can sound like with everyone kind of like playing harmonically at the same time. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and another big Wisteria, another gorgeous Bliss Peak, like you said. It's one of the goat Bliss vehicles.
Totally. And we're not done having fun because one of the greatest So Readies I've heard in recent memory closes things down, which is shocking song choice, but also the way they chose to accentuate this with the improv was wild as well.
Yeah, I mean, I will be clear here, and I won't apologize for this. I am a So Ready hater. I
Okay.
don't normally like So Ready. That is a bathroom song for me. Just because I feel like it's
Fair.
the same type one peak every single time. But here they go again with not doing that. So like, yeah, when they kind of dialed it back, and then like I'm like, okay, this is gonna be different. And then like I kind of heard him Cotter kind of lock into the four on the floor, and like Peter's over on the fucking synth, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And things got real fast. And that was probably my favorite So Ready that I've heard. So I'm a
Yeah.
huge Goons guy. And that was some good stuff. And I thought the way that they came out of the Goons Jam and back into the tag of So Ready was so organic and just impressive. It was really cool. So
I think
Oh
it
yeah.
was the goat version too, man. It was so cool, and I was kind of like you. I like So Ready. Don't get me wrong, but I was looking at the clock and looking at the song, and I was like, oh man, like we're not gonna close the show out on like a big
this is
jam
the
or
Slow
whatever.
Ready podcast. Y'all got to be slow ready over So Ready. I already know that coming into the
Well,
deal,
of
but
course we are.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Listen, but
I
yeah, I was
appreciate
kind of
it.
like I was like, oh my gosh, like I I made an assumption and it made an ass out of me and also you clearly, Griff.
Yeah.
As they say. So yeah, surprise Goonts, coming out of that Peter solo and they drop down, you immediately could pick up on it like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a different one. And I mean, I won't add much more to what you said, other than like Stuart Bogey again making the clarinet seem like the coolest instrument in the world with like the psychedelic vibes he's adding this whole time. But the other guy I got to highlight is my guy Andrew Getty because oh my god, he was doing like this swirling lights thing during the build. It was insane. Like I don't even know if it came across on the stream well, but like truly, I thought like there might have been like 7 people having seizures from his lights during this moment.
It was
Well,
insane.
he always
No,
turns it up for So Ready.
yeah, no, he turns it. He knows when to turn it up. That I mean, I like to give that guy credit where credit is due. I mean, he's one of the better light directors in the scene, and certainly when that jam was going off, he was putting his talent on display. So
Yeah, and the only other note I really wanted to bring up was I talked about the clarinet, but like whatever effect Bogey was using on it kind of gave it that feel, like that soulful feel that you'd expect to get when Peter's playing like the organ or something. It kind of added that
mhm,
vibe in a weird way. But it was just so cool. Like in again, whenever they surprise goons you with anything, I'm here for it.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm in favor of them getting rid of the normally dependable shenanigans nightclub feel for this
Straight
full
up.
on dance party. And I thought it was really cool too, like if you think about it in just the context of things, and obviously I wasn't there, but you've got Tractor Beam and Disco Biscuits for the late night shows. I love putting a dark electronic exclamation point on things before everyone heads over there. Kind of just, I don't know, works
It's
out
kind of like a
perfectly.
chef's kiss, right? Or like a,
Yeah.
the transition in a set list kind of display. Like it's like, hey, everyone go to the
Get some more
crania
of this.
stage. Yeah, yeah, and we're
Yeah.
gonna do this some more.
Yeah. Thinking about the full day. So I love that.
Well, I know I bowed out after the goose set. As soon as they flipped Tractor Beam and Disco Biscuits, they wound up flipping their times, Mike. I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I can see Bisco anytime because they're kind of like semi-local to me here, and Tractor Beam's kind of more of a treat. And as soon as they flipped it, I was like, I can't hang for the extra hour. I'm gonna just go.
That unfortunately, so that's what I was talking about whenever, you asked about night zero. Like, so I flew out of Austin at 7 a.m. So I got up to go to the airport at 4 a.m., which is 2 a.m. local Cabo time. And the tractor beam set
Jesus.
wasn't going to be over until 3 a.m. Cabo time. And so, yeah, when I saw the same thing, I'm like, there's no way I'm making it safely to 25 hours without sleep. And so I was
Yeah.
like, you know, gotta just, take the wins with the losses. But Alex saw me that day. The embarrassing part was I was wearing my Disco Biscuit shirt. So
Yeah.
I was like walking out of the venue while the biscuits were playing, and everyone's like, "Where the fuck are you going?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't want to talk about this right now, but I have to go home or I will die."
Tell
So
Barber I'm sorry.
yeah, right. Like, god damn, I felt like such a poser, but you got to do what you got to do. So
Dude,
I'll
you
see
should
him
have just
again.
should have said you had too
Yeah.
much ketamine or something, like,
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah.
bro,
I
I gotta
should have.
lay down.
I should have used a traditional Disco Biscuits response. I gotta call my probation officer or something. Like I don't know. But no, truthfully, I was just too tired. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to adjust. Like the 3 hour difference from the East Coast, it took us like 2 days to get fully adjusted too.
it's even crazier for y'all. Yeah, and yeah. So I mean, never again. Like I said, and if anyone's listening, like. And you're thinking about, oh, I can just like make the flight early on the day of the festival, do not fucking do that. I'm telling you from experience, like get there the night before, pay the extra money. I know that that's what you're stressing about or whatever, but like, you know, get out there the night before, get some rest, and go have fun at the show the next day. So
Yeah, man. It truly like I know Sarah and I were up at like 4 o'clock in the morning local time because we're used to waking up early East Coast and we still hadn't adjusted. So we were like living the 4 a.m. local time life against our will, and like our bodies that weren't ready yet. So like 2 days up front's what I need now in my 30s.
straight up.
Okay, so you
Um,
both went back and got some beauty rests. How
yep.
did day 2 start off then? Did we get a nice and early start?
You want to go?
No,
No.
actually slept in.
Oh,
Like
did you?
I did good.
I mean, I guess I kind of did too. I didn't get there until the Jim James acoustic set, which was honestly Jim James is. I mean, there's a reason he was all over the festival this weekend, and there's a reason that these guys love him. That dude is so good at writing songs. To see him like on stage by himself, just him and a guitar, the way he commanded the crowd was pretty just out of this world. I have never seen anybody just with them solo on stage just command the crowd like that. And he did give a lot of credit to the crowd. He was like, "Man, this is the quietest crowd I've ever played to. So I do just want to give the Gonzo crowd like some props for that. Like y'all really showed out. I know that we've had some chompy crowds in the past, but I don't think that that was the case this weekend, and I appreciate that, and I'm proud of everyone that was involved. So, and then of course the gym set culminates with Rick on stage playing. I can't remember the name of the song, but either way, it
Love and
was
Mercy.
yeah, Love and Mercy. Just looking, watching them play together, like you can tell Jim, and we're going to come back to this topic obviously, but you can just tell Jim loves playing with Rick and everyone else in the band. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean
100%.
that set was special, man. And
Yeah.
I mean, we walked in just before that. We walked in during Stewart's first set, which means I missed his second 30-minute set when Rick actually sat in with him. But yeah, that Jim James set was awesome, and like you said, he captured the crowd. And I didn't even like piece this together till after the festival. But I said to my wife like 9 times. She must have wanted to smack me by the third time I said it. But I was like, I don't think I've seen someone command a crowd like that by himself besides Neil Young. And I said
Hmm.
that like over and over again. It was like such Neil Young vibes. And then of course we'll get to the Neil Young of it all for night 3. But like I in my head I like never was like, oh, this guy also kind of like could do a badass Neil Young impression, you know? Um, so yeah, it was a super captivating set. That Love and Mercy, I'm so glad that the video of it was like ripped and put up somewhere, and hopefully it'll be distributed for us to watch whenever we want.
It
But
will be. Yeah.
it was absolutely beautiful. Like they just have such great chemistry,
Yeah.
and great way to cap off a set.
I think Leisure was like right after that.
Mhm.
And I gotta say, my friend, he was telling me the whole time leading into this, he's like, dude, you need to be listening to Leisure. You would love them because I love like Parcels and Krungbin and Jungle. And this was like a mix of all three of those. Like that set was super fun. And like I think a lot of people are really big on night 3. And I think if you look at Goose alone, night 3 um was probably like the better day, but like Jim James acoustic into Leisure, into Midnight Generation, into Goose's actual show, and then LP Job with Rick to, for the late night was superb. So go see Leisure. They're fucking badass. Get really high beforehand.
I
they
always do.
were they
Yeah.
were great, man. Um, I honestly, it felt like to me, and this might sound negative, but it wasn't that way at all. It felt like just like one long song to me and Sarah in like a good way, where it's just like everything was just flowing so well, and was just great vibes. But we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a little down tempo,
I
but
will say from home,
yeah.
Leisure was, like, getting the most shout outs on Instagram from, like, just my viewpoint at home. Like, I lost track over how many people were shouting it out, and it kinda surprised me because I was like, "Wait, isn't Jim James playing today? Like, isn't Mahali doing a Nirvana tribute?" Like, I was like, "All this stuff is happening," and it's like, all I keep hearing about is Leisure, and I didn't know anything about them, and I still have yet to have time to get into them, but with you saying they sound like Parcels and Jungle, now I've gotta go spin it, so,
It's a down
I'll be doing that tomorrow.
it's a down tempo version of those two bands, and that's why I threw Krungbin in before. It's like literally imagine if you had like a, super chill Krungbin song mashed up with a Parcels or a Jungle song. Like it's nice. But I agree
Sounds
with
like my vibe.
yeah, I agree with what
Oh,
Alex said. It's
it's
kind of
great.
one big dance party. So yeah, it's fun.
Love it.
And it was a
Hell
really
yeah.
great call the way that they organized the sets too, because like Jim James was so chill and stripped down, obviously just being up there by himself with an acoustic guitar, and then kind of getting the dance party ramped up at the main stage to get ready for Goose was a really good call.
Agreed.
Well, I wasn't there, but, like, would you guys say, because this is how it felt to me at home, that, like, Jim James was kind of like artist B at this festival? It felt like all the different things that he was a part of, it kind of felt like it was like Goose, and then he was like the next headliner, and I don't know how much of that was, like, set up with him being with them at Louisville. Obviously, him and Rick had to have connected on some level, but it just felt like Jim James was kind of like the through line other than Goose throughout this festival. He just kept popping up.
Whoa. First of all, it was Stuart Bogey, clearly, because he guested with literally everyone.
Stuart
But
Bogey,
yes, it
He's
was.
a
artist at
known
large.
quantity, though.
Yeah, yeah.
He guessed with everybody,
I
dude. Like he
mean,
was on every stage.
That
he
that's true.
yeah, like he straight up was the artist at large, and they didn't even have him listed as such, which that's fine. I'm happy to see I'm at Eggy and Stewart's on stage. Like where did that come from?
Yeah,
But
it's like a
yeah,
gun for hire.
I mean the Jim James stuff is like I almost am like how because he sat in with him what last fall. And I'm like, how many
Yep.
Yeah,
times does he want to sit in with them? Like, I mean, and I'm literally not even critiquing the relationship at all. I'm like more so trying to establish how strong the connection is between Jim
yeah.
and Goose. Like, the guy came out. We'll get to it, but the guy came out for night three in an unbelievable fashion. So, yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
all I'll say
We'll
for
get
now.
let's get through night two first. But
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Anything else pre-show before we just get into the set list for night two?
Midnight Generation, go see them too. They were at the Rocks.
Okay.
I forget what it's called. And yeah, they're really cool. They all wear the same outfits. They do this like synchronized dancing. It almost feels like I don't know, there are some Daft Punk undertones with the vocal
Okay.
harmonizer and stuff, but it's not quite EDM, so it's almost like disco Daft Punk. It's really cool.
Sick.
Awesome.
And they're from Mexico.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
Even
yeah.
better.
locals.
I'm sad I missed him now.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right. So night two,
All
let's
right.
get it.
Well, you want to read it off, Alex?
Yeah. Let's do it. Set one opens up with Born, then get a Yeti, then get some Billy Joel Moving Out, Anthony's song, and All I Need and Jedstone to close the first set. And then set two opens up with Animal into Cinderman, and then get an Arcadia into Peach into Arcadia Sandwich to close the show.
I mean, just
Crazy.
just looking at the set list, you'd probably get a little excited. Maybe
It's tasty.
Yeah.
maybe not even just a little excited, but a lot excited. Do we want to start with
Uh,
Born?
yeah, and
Yeah. Let's hear your
Born
thoughts.
is it. Maybe it's the year of Born in terms of how much love it's getting, dude. Like fourth play already this year, and another jam on it. It's not hitting those monster jams quite yet, but if we keep like adding on a minute to every one, and they keep playing it at this frequency, like eventually it's going to get something that's absolutely insane, right?
I agree, and it wasn't my favorite Born that's been played this year, but I do love the fact that we're getting Born jams again. Like, I think that sometimes when they really decide that they want to take Born for a ride, that can be a really special jam. There have been years past where that jam turns into something monstrous, even as a set opener. So I'm just glad they're giving it, a taste of extended action again. The guy behind me like grabbed me on the shoulder and he was like, "This has got to go type 2 for me." I was like, "It's too early for all that. I just want to hear him jam it." So I'm glad they did.
It's got to go type 2.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that's
I
funny.
was like, that's a pretty staunch, requirement. But
That's getting quoted by me at my next show for
right,
sure.
I'm like,
I,
man,
it was like type 1.5 at least. Like it was
yeah,
Yeah.
It got
I
out
would say
there.
so.
It got out there, but I mean, and I think at other shows it could have been a highlight. Maybe I don't think it would have been the best show or the best jam at a show, but it might have been a highlight at another show. But I think tonight was stacked with jams. Night two was one of my favorites. So
I, I will say that was kind of the theme of the night in general, and it kind of started with this Born where like it felt like everything that we had version of what we had seen in 2026 and even 2025 from these songs was getting like the song and like the kind of level of jam or something we expected, and then getting like a nice twist or like bonus on top of it.
yep.
And that was like everything except for the Billy Joel cover all night. And I thought that the sound that Peter had on this Born early in like the spacey-ish zone was really cool. Like it was trippy, half marimba, half keys kind of sounding. And it really added to the atmosphere of the jam. And then, by the end of it, once it hits that like more rocking pivot, it felt like your tension's not the right word, but like the anticipation was building for so long that it felt like an eruption by the end, which was really, really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought this was really solid. I mean, 16-minute Born, and if you just the first two alone were at like 34 minutes to start off the show. So kind of similar to the night before, we're starting off with improv early, which I'm totally here for. And definitely echoing you, Alex. I love everything Peter's doing pretty much right away. It's like in that atmospheric vibe that Bourne usually lives in. But I think the repeating patterns from Peter really stand out. They make it like sort of like contemplative and slightly haunting vibe that just turns into amazing marimba. And I thought that it was also really cool because Rick just kind of hangs back. Like Trevor and Cotter and Peter just kind of drive things gradually, and then Rick just saves his transcendent playing, which we know he can whip out at any point for just the last few minutes. He shows a lot of patience, but when he does uncork, it's like spiritual at the end of this. So he
Hmm.
just goes full on rock god, and you can't really ask for a better start to a show than this.
I think he's been doing that more. I think he's been showing a lot more
Yeah,
patience. Not saying that he needs to. Like, I don't think anybody thinks that he needs to show more patience, but like
sure.
the fact that I feel like he really trusts the guys he's playing with at this point, like, and it shows. And like, I think we can all tell that those guys deserve to be trusted, and let them find the pocket and hang back. And then once they find the pocket that they're comfortable with, then let's ride. So I like that formula.
100%. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it was cool. Like once he took over and started like that crescendo in of his own, it was like the eruption to that volcano I was talking about. Like he was like the lava coming
Mhm.
up, man.
And
100%.
we got a Yeti, which
A good Yeti.
yeah, that was a good Yeti. And I don't know if y'all followed me enough or not, but like I've been chasing Pumped Up Kicks since the very first show I saw. They played it the night before I saw them, and I think they've shelved that cover for political reasons, which I somewhat understand. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know that for sure, but either way, I thought that there were like some moments where me and my buddy were looking at each other. I'm like, don't say it out loud, but I think it could happen. Inevitably, it did not happen, as we all know. But I thought the jam was still really patient. I think that they've been really like when they come out of that jam, instead of just kind of like letting Peter go shred mode, which are those are fun versions of Yeti. They've really just kind of settled into kind of the Goons kind of whatever formula and let that beat build. And I really like what they're doing with the song these days. So
Yeah, a little more sauce on this one than we're accustomed to getting with it. I don't know if you listen to any of our past episodes, Griff, but like I call this kind of jam diet goons a lot because it's like still keeping some of like the funk formula of Yeti, but
that's
adding
a
a little
great
bit
way
of
to
that
put
flavor.
it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel that because it didn't feel all the way. So I'm gonna start using that, copying y'all.
But it was great. I love a Yeti like this, and again, much like SOS on night one, this was like a big dance party, really great way to get an explosion out of the crowd. But I don't have a ton of notes on it, but it was just a really nice treat to get a little more runway on this than we've seen in recent years, at least.
Yeah, I totally agree. Not much to add. It went a little bit further away from the typical like get lucky vibes that they normally go for, and went a little bit closer to the techno goons adjacent. And I would be here for more Yetis like this because you normally can kind of just rely on them getting into that Daft Punk thing for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're out. So this was fun.
Yeah. All right.
Moving
So
out.
next up, yeah, just
Yeah,
a tiny bust out. First time in 332 shows.
I was at the
November
last one
10th,
that they
2021.
played in Houston.
I saw you post that. That's so freaking
No,
crazy.
no one was at that show either. This is like a
Yeah.
little bit of a whatever side side note, but like at that show, like there were so few people at that show. You can go back and listen to the recording. I think he says it in between the last song and the encore, or the last song is set two. But he's like, I think I saw every person's face in this venue tonight, and I was like, yeah, Houston does not show out for jam shows. As we saw earlier this spring. But yeah,
Mhm.
I love that cover. It was in heavy rotation there for a while back in like 2019, 2020. They would play it a lot. Um, so it was good to hear. I didn't see that coming out of nowhere, and I thought Bogey added a lot to the song.
Yeah, Billy Joel haters beware. Shout out to our guy Sim Turner who was hating on Billy Joel on Blue Sky. Uh, this was awesome, man. I don't care what anyone says. Billy Joel is the shit, and I was very excited to hear this. And obviously, like you said, Bogey crushing that main post-chorus iconic lick, just like got everyone so amped up around us. Um, Nice to see it pop up. I do think it works well as like the rare treat that comes up, like every once in a while, versus it being in heavy rotation. Just because apparently Billy Joel is kind of divisive in the jam community that I didn't realize, but
It's because
um,
of Fish. Billy Joel and Fish share the King of MSG crown, and so there's this like
Mhm.
fake hatred between the two bands. I don't think anyone actually hates Billy Joel. Like, let's be real. I don't know. But
how man?
yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. Like, come on. But yeah, it's there for whatever reason.
I'm just gonna see myself out of this podcast. I'm gonna say that because of your guys' stances, I have no opinion on Billy Joel. I guess is what we'll go with.
Oh my God, you're a Billy Joel hater. All right, podcast over.
That's funny. Man. Hey, I'm open to all
I wouldn't say
opinions.
like hate, but like I'm agnostic. Billy Joel does nothing for me.
Yeah.
I don't. Didn't make me mad, but like I wasn't freaking out at all. I don't think I've ever voluntarily put on Billy Joel in my life.
I agree with that, Mike. I'm not a huge Billy Joel, solo guy, but like I think that when jam bands cover Billy Joel, it's kind of cool. Like,
Yeah,
Goose does a
yeah,
good job of moving out, and then Humphreys will cover them every once in a while too. I'm sure there are other jam
yep.
bands that do. So yeah, I mean, it's cool hearing a Billy Joel cover. Do I want to hear a guy play the piano all night? Probably not, but some people go for
Sign
that.
me up.
Yeah.
No, I mean, "Moving Out" is like the song for me. Like, it's
Yeah.
like the one song I will listen to all the time. But yeah,
If they ever
it's
cover
also a
the
thing up
Piano
here in the
Man, I'm going
Northeast.
to the bathroom. Like that's what's happening.
Fair.
All right, let's move on before this podcast is officially disbanded.
Hey, the next song though, like might be my highlight of the whole night.
So
Like
let's hear what you thought,
this,
man.
all I
I want to
need
hear
is
you dive in
Beastly.
first.
Really? Yeah, go for it, Mike.
Yeah, no, I thought this all I need was super strong. If it had a couple more minutes on it, I feel like everybody else would be freaking out about it too. But I just love the jazzy feel from Peter early on, the extra cymbal work from Cotter, keeping things like slightly syncopated and uneven. Trevor just glides on this one with like super dynamic runs. By far my favorite Trevor playing at the entire weekend. I just felt like there was some really solid full band jamming early on. Nobody's like quite dominating, but everybody's just accenting each other, leaving plenty of room for everyone to shine. And then they get even more jazzy as they hit the 10-minute mark. I almost wonder like if playing with Stewart leads to more improv like this, and if so, then like let's just get him playing with them more and more, because this is full band improv at its best to me. I absolutely love what Trevor does at the 10:25 mark. He introduces this tight repeating lick that Rick is immediately like, fuck yes, let's go with that. They get into perfect sync like right away, dancing around each other into this like uplifting spiral of music, pulling in Peter's piano, and then this thing just peaks like absolutely flawlessly. I would say this is like top five favorites from the weekend for me.
Wow.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah, it took me to church.
I don't know. I should preface this with all I need is the biggest big jam I have seen the least amount of times. I think I'd seen it twice going into this weekend. So it's only my third time seeing it.
Okay.
Weird stat, love the song. I
Yeah.
think I do think it got a little kneecapped with it being with them planning on playing Jed Stone behind it, and I think in my memory it got a little kneecapped, like because I love Jed Stone and I loved hearing Moving Out. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? And then but at the same time, I remember being like, yes, I needed to hear All I Need. The jam was fun, but yeah, I don't have a ton of notes on it. It was just good to hear.
It was a really great compact jam, like Mike's saying. Like I think it will get underappreciated because of its length, but like the jazziest goose you could ever hope to hear out of an All I Need, especially. Um, I'm gonna disappoint you again, Griff, because on the original set list, it had the bonus jam written out
No.
that get the
Yeah.
second All I Need jam that has been played in
This is
years.
really break this guy's heart today.
Um,
That is
yeah,
crazy. I was gonna say, like, I was literally like, I'm looking at
He was just talking about it.
yeah, and I'm like looking at the El Goose set lists, and it's like got the little like superscript that's like slow melodic version. I'm like, why do you even put that anymore? Like, when has it not been the slow
Yeah.
melodic version? Like it's like put something if it's
Yeah.
not that. Like, I don't need the superscript for that. So whatever.
well, yeah. I mean that's good. That's good signs that it might come back this year at some point, though.
Agreed.
Like it's on their minds.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, that was as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, that would have been crazy. What Goose needed to do, I told Mike this was like find another half hour to add to their time slot if they do Gonzo again, so that you can get like 10 more minutes out of a set. Because that they were very ambitious with what they wanted to play on
agreed.
all the written set lists.
Agreed. I think on that note, I think the set lists are becoming more dynamic and more fluid. And I don't want to make another comparison to the band that starts with P, but after a certain amount of time, they stop writing set lists and they just started calling songs on stage based on the feel. And I think I don't want to say they're there yet. They're not there yet, but certainly there's a vibe that they're flowing with on stage, and there's sort of a looseness that they're approaching the set list with that I think is really cool. So, and I think that allows them to play better without having to, play within the confines of something that they wrote 3 or 4 hours ago for management and the light crew and everybody else to kind of stick to. Like, let the band play how they feel they should play. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
You're 100% on the money, because I feel
Amen.
like I experienced this in New Orleans night one, where they're just like, we're at time. Want to play one more? We'll play two more,
Yeah,
and
that
it'll be
was.
two of our rarest songs ever.
I wasn't there. I wasn't at New Orleans, but I remember that. And like Peter's like, no, we can play some more, and they played like two more songs, and I'm like, fuck yeah, like that is what we need right now.
And
That was
it burns within in Spain,
yeah,
like songs that have been played less than 10 times,
yeah,
like
straight up.
so I totally agree. That's happening way more often,
Yeah,
and I think it's for the best.
agreed.
Yeah. Um.
What about this Jet Stone though?
Whew. Um. A continuation of the bonus to each song for sure. This is the goat Jed Stone by far. First one they've
Yep.
really taken out for a little bit of a run. Um. Like an asshole, I was like hitting the mezcal hard on this night. So like as soon as Jed Stone started, I'm like, let me go pee real quick. This is probably the set closer. And I came back before the singing was over, thank God, because it was a jam and started off in that like stunning floating space that Goose just does so well, like floating like a butterfly through the sky or whatever. And Rick and Peter are both like playing this fluttering riffing around each other flawlessly. Like they're in mind meld mode there, breaking down to almost like near silence at one point, and then again flawlessly dancing around each other to ramp things up to take things out on the most emotional playing Rick did all weekend.
Agreed.
Just a really strong way to close out set one.
That that song um is probably my favorite off of the two albums that were released last year. Like I just love that song. I think it's so folky and it's so just, it feels authentic to a certain degree, if that makes sense. Like I love it so much. I like I've seen it. I was actually at the debut at Fiddler's, and like I've loved it ever since then. Like so, I mean, just hearing that song in general got me going. And then, like, when I start hearing, you know, they're not just taking this for a 2 minute solo and then going back into the chorus or what have you. Like, I remember kind of coming out of that, like, floating. And was like, oh man, that was a jam on Jed Stone. That was a jam stone. Like, that was sweet. And like that, honestly, like, there were some really good moments that night, but that ended up being the song that I posted from that night, and like for good reason. I thought that Rick's playing was great towards the end of that jam. I thought the interplay up front, like you said, Alex, was really good, and the longest one to date. So not much to hate on there. Only love.
It's like that dream that Mike and I always have on the podcast of like the songs that have never gotten jammed out going for a ride for the first time, and like I was just so ecstatic.
I think that one has potential to get even more out there, but we'll see. We will see.
What do you think, Mike? Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the name of the game this spring. I mean, all these songs have been getting longer runways, everything from Madalena. I feel like Jed Stone's been kind of like working up to this. I was at a bunch of spring shows, and every time I saw it pop up, it was a little bit longer than the last time. This one, I feel like, was the first one where you almost have to like categorize it like Bob Dawn, where it's like the width like
Hmm.
is on this one. Um, because I really loved the solo I got on the St. Augustine version. I think that was like the most dynamic solo I'd heard at the time on this. And it's just at this point, now hearing this version, which is like I think 14 or 15 minutes long, it's so much different than what Vasudo was doing with it that it's like it's evolved entirely at this point.
Big time.
Big time, absolutely.
Some of the best Rick playing of the weekend too, just super emotional
He
soloing,
loves
just
that song. You can,
transcending the guitar neck.
in my opinion, you can tell the songs that like really. And I'm not saying Rick doesn't like some of the songs that he plays, but you can tell the songs.
Sure,
I think the better word is there are certain songs that Rick is really passionate about, and I think that Jed is
yep,
one of those songs that he's really passionate about, and you can just tell when he plays it that the words coming out of his mouth mean something to him. The notes that he's playing mean something to him, and the song is just special to him. So
totally.
Yeah, it's a great song in any slot, as we've said on this podcast many times before. I think it works great as a set closer. I love seeing it pop up in set one now a couple of times here, where we had only seen it at set two before 2026.
Yeah. He's also passionate about monkeys and working their
Right,
abdominals,
yeah.
and that's how we start off set 2. What
And
did y'all think about this animal?
I I was making jokes with my friends in the crowd because we at set break, like somebody was talking about the song, and like I brought up the monkeys they work there at Domino's, kind of bit, but so I was kind of joking about that. It was a good jam. I don't, you know, it didn't move me particularly. It's always fun to hear the
Yeah.
animal jam, but it was fun. It was well placed. I think the crowd needed maybe, even though it was coming out of set break, I think the crowd needed a little bit of a reprieve from something giant.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
it was the first repeat of the run to this point, which was an interesting stat. I was not really expecting them to go that long without repeating anything because they played so many big songs and relatively new songs last year. Um, and this animal, it was moving a little quick. Like I thought, it felt like it had a little pep to its step for sure. But really, it just kind of stuck in that normal animal funk zone for a long time, and then the outro on it was really cool. Kind of going into this chill, swirling whirlpool outro of the jam that was like enough to kind of make you dizzy between Peter's keys and marimba going back and forth, and Trevor's doing this bubbling bass thing, and Rick's doing the kind of uneasy tension thing he does. Um, and then Peter transitions into like what I can only describe as like a combination between like the glockenspiel and like those big metallic bells you see the people at church play sometimes if they're playing percussion. It was like very like, yeah, I don't even know how to really describe it. It was like banging up against your gutter at home or something, like with a stick. Anyway, um, uneasy, very percussiony, and it kind of worked really well as a transition into Cinderman in a weird way. But go back and listen to this section if you haven't, because it was like the weirdest tone I've heard Peter use in a while.
Hmm. I did not notice that. That did not register. I'll have to go back and listen.
It was only like 2 minutes, man, like the last minute or two,
Worth it.
but it was definitely unique from Peter.
Yeah, I didn't really have many notes on this. I just thought I know he doesn't have the vintage vibe anymore, but whatever he's using to make the vintage vibe sound early on, that was fucking killer. I don't know enough about keys. I know a little bit about guitar, but I don't know what he was doing, but it sounded
Yeah,
like vintage
me
vibe and
either.
it sounded awesome. But yeah, that strange creepy outro that kind of lets the secret slip that we're moving into some goons was really the sick part of this. That I mean, Animal does the Animal thing. There's a ridiculous amount of peaks and tension builds, and it just goes on and on and on, and it's really fun and exciting. But by far, the last 2 3 minutes, something like that, that it gets really weird and slightly goonsy. That was the highlight here, and then it moves into what to me was like the highlight of set 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I should have counted,
The
but
Man.
yeah, no, I mean, like I've seen Cinderman so many times in the past like year and a half, but like literally every time I'm pumped to hear it. Like I don't know if it's just because I kind of love the theme of the lyrics, or just like that I know that we're going into Goons. Like, and it's been like what's cool is like it's been like a Goons jam like ever since the beginning. Like ever since they started playing it, like before Goons was like even a thing, it was just kind of like its own thing. It was like the jam
Yeah,
gets kind of electronic and dancey, but now they've like really like harnessed that, and it's probably become one of the better Goons jams that we see consistently. Outside of the bust outs and say like media, like I think that was in New Orleans, where they put the Goons
yep.
on it, but like when the Goons is coming, I feel like Centerman is one of the best for that, and it's always a treat to hear. I thought they got especially kind of dark on this one, and I thought that they were especially patient on this one too and letting it build. It was a lot of fun, and the crowd loved it too. So
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like 60-70% of people's Goons highlight of the weekend because the vibes were immaculate. Um, I personally think night three has my highlight, but like I can totally understand it because the way they slow built this one, like you said, Griff, is like it was very rewarding by the end. Once the drop happened, like the place was ready to explode. Um, and yeah, like I said, vibes immaculate. I must have handed out 100 of our like Centerman, Anchorman stickers to like everyone within a 40-foot radius, Mike. And I'm sure people were annoyed with me being like, "Hey, take a sticker while you're dancing." But like, what time is better than during a Centerman to
perfect
hand out a
time.
Centerman sticker?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, another kind of pressure cooker situation like we've seen a few times in this spring so far. Like it reminded me of the energy of that big modern you saw in Asheville, where like they just kind of like let things linger and the anticipation build, and by the time that drop hit in that like dark atmospheric zone, the place just erupted, and it was probably the hardest I saw dancing all weekend.
Yeah, like the Good to Be in St. Augustine. Same kind of deal where it just like explodes by the time you get to the end. If this isn't the best Center Man, it's right there with it. I thought that it was, like you said, super dark and industrial, techno for the occult, electronic sounds for Satan, just nonstop flying off the rail speed. Yeah, I loved every second of it. It's right up there with the media, I think, from New Orleans to me as like the best goons of the year.
So far,
So far,
Yeah,
yeah.
so far. It's gonna keep getting better because this is a Goonsy year apparently.
so far, yeah. I like what I'm hearing as far as the Goons Jams goes. I feel like they've been a little bit more sparse, but the ones that they've been choosing to put the Goons on have been really good. So
But Europe's coming up. I expect a lot of goons in Europe.
that's an interesting dynamic. I'll be interested to see how that plays out. So I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we move into this Arcadia, which I was talking with a few of friends that I bumped into after the show, thinking that this was one of the most interesting Arcadias we've heard since 2021. Um, Even if it was very chill Arcadia, like the fact that they were just taking it a different direction was a nice treat. So, what'd you guys think about it?
I can't remember, and I there may not be a time I may not remember, but I don't remember another Arcadia where they go into the jam and they transition into a cover and then go back into the Arcadia jam. I could be wrong. Um, it either hasn't happened or it's been a while or it's happened very few times, but I see Peach, which is also a relatively new cover, come out of that jam. Another cover that's kind of being, what's the word, really just cherished or whatever. The fans like really seem to like Peach, and I like Peach too. I thought it was a really unique Arcadia, with the cover in between, and then just the way they did improv a decent amount before they decided to go into Peach, and then they go into Peach, and Peach is good, and then they get done, and you're like, oh, Arcadia's not done, and then they finish Arcadia, and it was a great way to end the show. Another surprise that you know that was kind of the theme for the night. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, when especially like the first um 8-9 minutes, I thought it was just gonna be like a standard mid-set Arcadia. So that was a nice surprise that they took it for a ride and then added in that peach like that, like you said. Um, but once like that, they kind of got that funk out of their system from the early Arcadia Jam. It got really interesting, like you said, and um, it almost pivoted into the section right at that point where Cotter was doing this like controlled chaos, discombobulated, tumbling kind of sound, and it pivoted the jam into what felt almost like the triumph of like the outro of Dripfield in a lot of ways.
I
and
felt
it turned
that
out to
too,
be kind of like
actually. Yeah, like it felt like we were gonna go into drift field.
yeah, and it turned out to be a little bit of a fake out because they
Hmm.
dropped down into like that like ethereal oasis floating in joy kind of vibe that they just always crush that stunning kind of soundscape. Um, but yeah, then the way they transitioned into Peach I thought was clever because it was all the Trevor show up front and center, and they kind of started to get into Peach, but like it was a transition as far as I'm concerned. They couldn't get the tempo quite right, I don't think. Um,
It was a tough challenge to take on, but they did an okay job as far as the transition goes.
yeah,
I think the playing was great overall, but the transition was definitely a tall task.
yeah, and then Peach is great, like you said. That's the second time I've caught it this year already. I feel very lucky because this cover slaps, and much like Clearwater, it showed it can rip a little bit longer than just the song itself, and then right back into the outro we all come to expect from Arcadia. So can't complain about a show closing out with Arcadia, especially a sandwich.
Yeah, I thought this Arcadia was outstanding. I think people are sometimes a little bit harsh or unfair to Arcadia in general. Like, I think there were some solid versions, and I think there were some solid versions over the last couple years. But I do like them going back to more bliss, like they used to. With like the Swansea version is like forever my favorite version, and this had touches of that. I feel like, but my main musical highlight was just Trevor is absolutely ridiculous from start to finish. He's just so melodic, but also just chest rattling, super dense runs. And like when after they get to the bliss peak and then they reduce it down to like a simmer, there's light glossy playing from everyone except for Trevor, who's just still thumping the fuck away. um Anyone out there that hasn't already, please listen to this with headphones. You really get the full on Trevor treatment. My boy is just shining on this one.
Arcadia is Trevor's song at this point. Book
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, it
yeah.
is.
We need to bring it back to its full like 2021 glory, though. Like this is a step in the right
Yeah,
direction.
I agree. I agree. You're
for
right.
sure.
Take it out.
All right,
All right, so
so
ready to get back into night three
Yeah,
or
sorry
day
about
three, I
that.
guess, because there's
Yeah.
a lot to go on in the day.
real quick, just want to talk about the LP Giobbi set with
Oh,
Rick,
that's right. Sorry.
night two.
Yes, please do.
That was so sick. It didn't really wind up being a Dead House set until like the last song or two because Rick stayed up on stage so long and they were just like riffing off each other, which was awesome to watch. Honestly, truly one of the highlights of the weekend. It was so cool. Um, but yeah, I'm here for that. Like Rick could have stayed up the whole hour. He stayed up for like 40 minutes of it.
Yeah, I did not expect him to be up there
It-
for that long. I was like, holy crap. I'm gonna have to, really ingrain this in my brain because that was kind of I don't know, like him and LP have like a special relationship. Like I don't
yes.
it's not as special as Jim James, but like she digs Rick's playing and I think Rick likes playing for her and vice versa. So yeah, it was cool to see them playing and the time slot fit perfectly after the show. That was a good late night show.
Mm-hmm. And and like I know there had been like the pictures circulating about them like doing some stuff in the studio together. And I don't know if this is what that was, but there was definitely some samples that LP was using that was Rick's voice
Mm,
and he wasn't singing up there
I didn't
on
catch
stage.
that.
So like
Okay.
I'm thinking that's what it was from, which was pretty cool. But
Nice.
I really hope that audio or someone took a long video or something of that. I took like the shortest clip of it ever and I was just so
Same.
immersed.
And I was back at the back in the hippie VIP section, whereas, set back and all I could really see was LP on the table and Rick on the guitar, so but it was still a fun set.
All right. So that's it for night two, I think. Did you watch Dogs at all, Griff, or did you go back?
No, I didn't make it for dogs. I think I'd seen them the night before, so I was like, it's time to go to bed.
Yep. Yeah. We caught a few songs and then bailed too. We're like, let's try to get an Uber before everyone is leaving at the same time here.
Anyways, where was I? Acoustic, right?
We're starting night
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did either of y'all make it to the acoustic set?
I did not make it, unfortunately. I wanted to, but I was already sunburned. And that
Oh,
that stage is like there's no shade and it's just rocks. So um yeah, it just
that's
did not
totally
work
fair.
out in my favor. The universe and the stars did not align.
I did wind up going and getting burnt to shit, but it was worth it because it was an awesome time. But yeah, it was so hot, like in no shade, like you said. And we perched up like the first level of the balcony, like right in front of the stage, got a really good spot, and waited there and baked in the sun for like 30 minutes waiting. But it was great. Um, they opened up with Atlas Dogs. They played the indie groove version of that. And by the way, Michaela Davis was on the harp the whole
Hmm.
set, which was really cool. It was a full set sit in. Um, and then went to Christmas Card from a Hooker in Minneapolis. Tom Waits, love to see it. California Magic, then Atlantic City, again, beloved cover. Master and a Hound coming back from Goosemas into True Love Waits, Radiohead, and then we got Drive with the second verse on it. The Can't You See? We're all I can't remember the words off the top of my head now. Um, and then going into Give It Time,
Yeah.
which was cool.
I what I thought was interesting, and I wasn't there, but I was telling my buddies is I was like, I bet they play Atlas by the Wood Brothers, but they played Atlas
Oh,
Dogs instead.
yeah, dude. It was Atlas Dogs. It took me a second for it to click because I'm just don't listen to that indie groove
And
version
they
of it
stopped playing
enough.
it a while
And
ago
once it
too.
started, I was like, oh shit,
Like I feel like I haven't heard that different version
yeah.
since I don't know, sometime in 2024 maybe. I could be wrong.
Well, yeah, and from the jump too, it was like very clear that Michaela was a perfect fit with this kind of acoustic lineup. She was just contributing at every step. Um, and you know, Atlas Dogs in that style is always kind of a treat, like you said now, because it's so rare. But then you get things going with an even like crazy, more rare pull with Christmas Card, and Sarah was like doing what Mike did to me at Winston Salem, like busting up my other shoulder, hitting me so hard because we were so pumped to finally see that. Um, and then really, I'll just run through it real quick. Other big highlights, obviously, Atlantic City is so rare, and that is the big city I live closest to, which is kind of cool. We love Bruce up here in New Jersey, and then um, the Master and a Hound into True Love Waits, I think, was the big highlight of the entire show for me, though. Like I said, Michaela flawless with the band in every way, and she can crush a Radiohead cover as she made known last year with the full band and the full electric set, and then again with this True Love Waits. It was just stellar.
Who plays the harp anymore? I mean, I don't even know. How do you get a harp lesson? Like, where do you buy a harp? Like that to me is crazy. But I'm glad that somebody's in the scene that knows how to play that instrument because it's so unique. Like, I mean, yeah. So, like I said, I wasn't there, but it was a treat to listen back to, and I appreciate all of Michaela's work and everything. So, yeah, really cool that they made that happen.
And one thing I forgot to bring up during the Jim James set was that when Rick came out to guest, then he brought out a new acoustic guitar that was made by DeLewis Guitars, which they posted up on their page after the fact, and Rick was playing with that again for the full acoustic set, which was awesome, and the guitar looks and sounds great. It's still like that hollow body electric look to it, but it's a full acoustic, which is
Very nice.
really sweet.
I was going to ask about that because it looked to me like it had a pickup on it. So it was an actual acoustic guitar,
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it was like an acoustic with an electric pickup, like, but
like a piezo
apparently
or
it
something.
can be fully
Okay.
acoustic. Yeah.
Very neat. It is very pretty either way. And just want to shout out, I was having audio issues, but True Love Waits, fourth time play ever. Like, I mean, shoot, that's just so freaking awesome. You've been at two of them, like
Yeah.
Milwaukee and here. Like,
Y'all are lucky.
that's, as we're also Radiohead
Yeah,
nuts. Like, that's wild.
never seen it myself.
Yeah. We love a
Well, I mean,
Radiohead
four
cover.
times, that's hard. I mean, it's ridiculous, but they
Agreed.
should play it more.
Actually, Sarah and I were joking. We've been lucky just like in the last whatever year alone because we got the True Love Waits twice, and we've gotten both the versions of Kill the
Oh
Witch
man, aren't those off the same
Yeah.
album
or
too?
Burn the Witch. Sorry, Burn the
Yeah,
Witch.
no,
I'm
you're
an
not an
idiot.
idiot. I mean, it's all the same kind of, but
It's like 11 p.m., so I'm like
isn't
dead
but
on the
those are
inside,
both off of
like an old
a
man.
moon-shaped pool, aren't they? Which is like Radiohead's like most
Yeah.
recent
Hmm.
album or last album. We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
interesting. We haven't seen Weird Fishes make an appearance in a long time. I'm trying to recall the last time we saw that play.
I think I might have been at the
Yeah,
last
when was
one.
that?
In wasn't Raleigh
That
24?
sounds about
Was
right.
that the last
No, that
time?
was it
Or
was
was it more?
Michaela. It was Michaela last year at the festival, the Mountain Jam.
Oh, Mountain Jam,
Okay.
that's right. I forgot about Mountain Jam. That show gets slept on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love a
Yeah, but
Radiohead
it's not
cover by
not
Goose.
enough. Yeah, they're the only band that can cover it, like, pretty much. Everyone else, Radiohead, like, breaks
Agreed.
musicians' brains.
So what time did you get in, Griff?
I made it there for the MMJ set, which I was happy about. I love my morning jacket. They played the hits again. Another moment where Rick and Jim are on stage together, and I thought it was really funny that they chose to do AEIOU at the beginning of the set. They're like, let's just get this over with so that we can like play our
Yeah.
set without having to worry about Rick come back on stage. I don't know if that was the actual thought behind it, but that's like how it felt, you know, like so yeah, that was a really fun set. They were fucking badass again, like Jim James just owning the crowd and his band just going hard. So yeah, that was a great set. And I was happy I made it.
Yeah.
I do wanna ask real quick, before that, there was an Iggy acoustic set, and they're, like, my second favorite jam band behind Goose. Did you get to go to that, Alex?
I went to the Eggy set. Yeah. So actually, so after the Goose acoustic set, Sarah and I went to go find some shade in like the main stage area, and we listened to um the California Honey Drops on stage from afar with all the other people who were melting from being at that acoustic set. Um, and it was kind of nice to just chill like really far back and under the shade of like the one tree in that field. Um, but yeah, then I went to the acoustic Eggy set. My wife kind of perched up at the main stage. She's like, "I'm beat. You go enjoy Eggy. We're gonna see them in a week here anyway, close to us in Atlantic City." Um,
Oh,
but
perfect.
yeah, they opened up with Reflections, then got Shallow Rivers into Waiting Game, and then Agatha, Big Southern Cross, and closed with Thorns. The Southern Cross is definitely the highlight, but obviously Eggy did the Eggy thing and just gorgeous, harmonies on the vocals and doing kind of the democratic jamming that they're so well known for, where everyone's just kind of stepping up and making magic happen, which was really really cool.
They've got, like, the best full band improv right now. They're insane. That's a really
Yeah,
good set, though.
and I was pumped to hear Southern Cross. I had never caught that one yet, so I love that cover. So um,
Huge.
yeah, and then they played an electric set. I didn't catch all of that, if I'm being honest, because I wanted to get back to Sarah over at the main stage. But highlight of that for me was the Radiohead cover
Yeah.
there too.
Uh-huh.
Subterranean Homesick
I was
Alien.
there for that. I was like, man, of of all the
Badass.
Radiohead songs to cover, you're gonna pick a song from OK Computer? Like, all right, like, hey,
Hmm.
more power to you. And Bogey was on stage for that too. So
Yeah, Bogey is up there.
that was the highlight for me from Eggy.
That's
Yeah,
nuts.
I was like, I remember them playing that. I was like, what? Y'all like y'all said earlier about bands shivering at playing Radiohead. I mean, to bust down something from largely considered one of the best rock albums of all time, that's pretty ballsy. And one of the best songs from
Yeah.
that album too, in my humble opinion. So yeah, I mean, that set was special. I didn't catch the acoustic set, but I did see the electric set, and it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah, dude. Okay, Computer's on my Mount Rushmore
I'm
of
a
albums, so,
Kid
like,
A
it's one of
amnesiac
my
guy,
goats.
but I still respect OK Computer. Obviously, you can't not respect it. So
Yeah.
There's no wrong
right,
answers with any
yeah,
of
I
those
know,
3,
yeah,
No.
so, but
That 1, 2, 3 punch
yeah,
is, like, insane and all from the same pool of
yeah,
songs they
nobody
were
has
writing.
that.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, this isn't a
right, yeah.
Radiohead
That's weird.
podcast, but we could
We've
talk
gone
about
off
that
on
No,
a
for
it's not.
hours.
tangent. Yeah,
Uh, but I did wanna hear your thoughts as well on the My Morning Jacket set, because that we all did get to watch at home, so me and my girlfriend were just, completely enamored with Jim James, as I'm sure everyone was all weekend. He has this unique quality, and this is gonna probably sound stupid to some people, but to me, he sounds like sometimes like a young Bob Dylan, but if he had gone rock, like, because he's also a rock star and he has that stage presence, like Griff was saying earlier. It is ridiculous to watch the man command a stage with any of his 25 guitars that they whip out for him. But then, like,
Alright.
I don't know, he's got like this throwback vibe to him as well. That's just like so cool. He seems like, I don't know, timeless in a way.
Yeah, that's really well said, Mike, and it was the first time I had seen My Morning Jacket in, like, 10 years. I just hadn't
Yeah.
gotten a chance to see them since 2016, and, like Griff said, they played the hits in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's a part of me, and Sarah said this too, she had never seen Jim or My Morning Jacket. There's a part of me that wishes that somehow, like, the sets were flipped where the My Morning Jacket set was, like, night 2 and this was night 3, just because for the people who were never exposed to it, that Jim James solo was, like, so special that I think it set a weird expectation or, like, of, like,
Mhm.
what My Morning Jacket itself was gonna be like, but me, I was loving it, and I was telling Sarah, like, "If you had listened to some of these songs before the festival, you'd be thinking different," like, being that guy.
Yeah.
that's a good
Um,
point, Alex.
but yeah,
Straight up,
yeah, it's
honestly,
stellar.
it should have been, or it should have been is easy to say, but I think it would have been better if MMJ played Saturday. People get this exposure to MMJ, and then they have the more, or not, I'm sorry, Friday, and then they had the acoustic set on Saturday after people had maybe had some exposure that didn't have the exposure to Jim before. So, but either way, I thought both sets were good. So
Yeah, and, like, that was, like, the perfect way for me to get, like, ramped back in to be like, "I need to find a way to add 10 My Morning Jacket
right,
shows in my
yeah.
life." Um, it'd been so long, like, it just there's one of those bands I kept being like, "Oh, I can catch them another time," like, whatever. And then 10 years later, I'm like, "Oh, shit, I haven't seen them in 10 years."
Yeah. They literally played everything I would have wanted to hear if I was a, first time concert goer to them, other than like One Big Holiday. It was just like
Yeah,
every other song I wanted to hear, I heard. So it was an excellent set, even from home.
yeah, yeah, it was great, and like you were saying, Griff, it cracked me up seeing the state of the art early, like, clearly it was like, Rick
Yeah.
needs at least 2 hours to get his chocolate milk
I
at the
was
show, so let's get him on the
I
Yep.
was
guest
like,
spot
I
and
turned to
get
my
out.
friends. I was like, Rick is walking on stage with My Morning Jacket. Like, what is even going on right now? Is he gonna play the whole set with them? Like, I mean, like, but
Exactly.
then obviously after that song, he left the stage and it became a My Morning Jacket show. So it was cool. And I will say, just like while we're on the topic, like the MMJ AEIOU has like a different flavor to it. And I don't want to say it's like better or worse, but it's a different flavor. It's like orange versus sesame chicken. Like it's not the same, but it's not super different. Like, but you like them both at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, so that was fun to
Yep.
see, and it was fun to see with Rick on stage not doing the vocals. So
I've
That's
still
both
yet to
times for
see an
Alex.
AEIOU without Rick singing on it. It's been 2 Jim Jameses. So still chasing the
Crazy stat.
OG Goose version.
It's a really crazy stat.
Yeah, I've only ever seen Jim James sing it, so
Man,
with Goose. Um, anyway, it was an awesome time. We had a blast, and you could see our orange hats bobbing around on the stream. Apparently, Mike sent me like 2
were
text
you all in
messages
front of
of
the
it. So,
soundboard?
yeah, we hung out in front of the soundboard like the night 2 and night 3. We just
Yeah.
loved that view.
When the sun was out, it was immediately clear. It's like, oh, there are the Sahanis. Dead center.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Yeah, had no idea you could see my white boy dance moves.
Yeah, that was fun. I got to see your head bobs and everything that I know and love, so it was great.
All right,
So we want to get into this Goose Show?
yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You want to read it off, Alex?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm loopy. It's freaking midnight almost.
Yeah, it's past our bedtime.
Set 1, open up with Hot Tea, and then we get a Good to Be, Into a Western Sun. All 3 of those had Stuart Bogey on them to get the set started. And then we get a Media and the debut of the album version of Torero to close set 1. And then set 2 opens with the Big Creatures with Stuart Bogey again. This Old Sea with Stewart on it. And then we get a Madhuvan, Cortez the Killer, and Rockdale, all with Jim James, although the Madhuvan wasn't a planned thing, which we'll get into. He just decided to hop on stage.
I did not
which was
know
really
that.
cool. So
I'll table that.
Yep.
yeah, well, at least it wasn't on the set list, and I looked up at one point. I was like, "When the hell did
He literally
Jim
just
get here?"
shimmied on stage.
But
No, they confirmed that on AAT. They confirmed that on AAT. He was only supposed to be on Cortez and Rockdale. He decided, but I guess it's a well-known thing that if you know Jim James, they were talking about this on that podcast the other day, that he apparently, whenever he guests or supports someone, he's very big on letting them know, I'm gonna like feel it out. I'm gonna feel the groove, and if I'm feeling it, I'm coming on stage when I'm feeling it. So that just made the guest spot that closed the set even that much cooler, knowing that about him, because he was just like clearly going like, yeah, I like this
That
one, I'm
gets
hopping on this one.
that
So
gets
that
me
just made
so
it all the better.
excited. But I
Yeah,
will come. I want to come back to that in full.
yeah,
yeah, we're gonna spend
Right,
an
like
hour
I'm
on the
like,
Madhuvan
golly,
anyways.
that's
Yeah, so
insane.
God. I haven't had a chance to listen to that AAT yet. That's so crazy. I was just like blown away by
yeah,
that.
yeah, it was very cool to me as well, and I wasn't
So
even there. So
they opened with remind me again. Hot tea.
A
Yeah, I
Hot
was gonna
Tea.
say it was something. Yeah, and I'm not the biggest hot tea guy, but it was cool hearing Bogey on Hot Tea. I think that song serves Bogey being on stage. So, and honestly, normally Hot Tea for me is another bathroom song, but not this time because Bogey was on stage, and I thought they brought the funk pretty good this time around. So yeah, not terrible on my end.
No, it was a pretty relatively short Hot Tea, all things considered, with Bogey on there, because they got to 2 peaks in
Yeah,
real quick on this thing and kind of got the Bogey effect going with it a little bit. So a little extra sauce. But compared to the rest of this set, I guess it's something that we don't need to spend a lot of time on, in my opinion.
yeah, it's funny to say that about something that's 16 minutes long, but I'm totally with you guys. It's not really anything to write home about. But I will say, Hot Tea is definitely a song that, like, of any song in the Goose catalog, that one deserves the horn treatment more than any other. It's just well suited to the horn sound,
agreed,
the New Orleans
agreed.
thing.
It just, and I love Hot Tea. And it's one of the songs that got me into Goose, but like it's just a bit arduous and tiring as the night goes on. I'm glad they started with that and didn't close with that. I think that was
Yeah,
intentional, but I'm just like, I don't know. They kind of stay in the same pocket the whole time, but
I
it's
agree.
still fun to hear live. So
Sure, that's
Yeah.
well said.
Yeah, I was gonna say that actually just after you, if you didn't say it. Opening with it was
Yeah.
definitely the right call here versus trying to close with it or something.
Yes.
That's a good way to set the tone early and just like get the dance vibes going, and you know it's not going to close the set. When some people
Hmm.
really hate it there, so good call.
Yep. What about this good to be? Still having a very strong year.
That when all they'd released was the studio track before spring tour, I was a little skeptical of the song. To me, I
Same.
get like Dripfield vibes, like a little bit. I don't know. The fans are saying it's overproduced. I don't think it's overproduced. I think that's the intention here behind the theme of the album. I don't think it comes off that way live, which is good. I think this specific version was pretty good. I thought the one that I caught in Austin was a little bit better. So that's all I'm gonna say there. But I do think it was enjoyable to hear that night.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a version that's missed yet. Like even the worst version that they've debuted so far. I mean, even if this is that I don't really can't really think of which one that would be because they've
Agreed.
all been so awesome. It was still interesting, and they're just taking it to cool places. Um, obviously sticking to the kind of good to be groove early on. Some great dueling between Trevor and Rick on that part, which I really enjoyed, and then some nice shots in between from Bogey and Peter to kind of accompany them. But it's really the post peak of that initial section where it gets really interesting to me, breaking down into like another kind of like Arcadia from Night 2, gorgeous, dreamy section that Trevor once again is just like whenever we're getting dreamy, I'm just taking the fucking lead here and doing Trev bombs and um, yeah, his work kind of get lets the band seamlessly float right into this Western Sun that comes up next. But don't want to leave this good to be before Mike gets into it.
I mean, I agree. I don't think there's been any bad versions. I guess the worst one would probably be its debut in Asheville at this point because it probably does the least and it's the shortest. But I mean, it was still very good.
Yeah,
But this one's not like at the level of like the monster that St. Augustine was, but I did like that Rick uses like a fuzzy and crunchy tone right away, which kind of takes it away from that dance groove initially. And then, like you said, when it gets into trippy, spacey vibes, I really like Rick's like arpeggiated patterns that kind of sound like they're drifting in and out of like a Radiohead sound. And I really love the interplay from Stewart and Peter as well as it fades very nicely and appropriately into Western Sun.
yeah, and this Western Sun, man, my God, like somehow this is being my number two highlight of the show is insane because this is a great,
I
great
think that
Western
was my
Sun.
highlight of the weekend,
Um,
but I'll let you opine further.
Yeah.
no, I mean this jam starts off in like full smooth Yaz mode, man. Like Stuart Bogey and Rick bouncing ideas off each other, and Stewart's getting especially jazzy to my ear, and Cotter and Trevor and Peter are all holding down this kind of rolling rhythm in the background, the kind of the standard one that we have come to know and love with the Western Sun in general. But Trev, man, once again the MVP of the night up to this point, playing loud and center around Rick, and Rick's doing that soaring riffing thing he does, and Trevor's just holding it down. And eventually Cotter starts picking up the pace going into double time after letting that marinate for a while with Trevor and Rick, taking it into double time and taking it into more of like a straight rocker where Peter was doing this really great circling piano riff, almost like the Charlie Brown jam vibes that you like to get into sometimes early. But then it was apparent we were going to move more towards that like scorched earth Wilmington style version from last year in a lot of ways, um, to kind of get into the most head banging peak maybe of the night. It's up there with the Modivon, honestly. Just different sound there, but um, yeah, like I said, it's my number two favorite jam of the show. Which again, when you're behind that Modify, we'll get into later. For me, it's a huge compliment. Like 1A and 1B.
Yeah, no, like you said, I feel like it kind of started off in the kind of routine Western Sun jam kind of format, but they locked in and kind of let that soar a little bit higher, and then Cotter at some point decided it was time to go fast. And that's when Rick picks up on that, and the whole band picks up on that, and Rick starts shredding. And I don't know how long that went on for. It must have been like 5 or 10 minutes, somewhere around there. But I was like, I just remembered dancing like crazy. And it was one of my favorite Western Suns that I've seen. I'm glad they're jamming a Western Sun out again. Truly jamming it
Mm-hmm.
out too, you know what I mean? Because it has that kind of jam potential. And we've seen 6 or 7 minute versions in the past. We've seen 10-minute versions in the past, but it's a treat to get a 20-ish minute Western Sun jam at this point. And I was really happy it wasn't extended for no reason. I thought that the playing was really good, and yeah, that was my highlight of set one, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely my highlight of set one for sure. Oh, how about you, Mike? What you got on this Western Sun? I know you loved it too.
Yeah, second biggest highlight from the weekend. I've got it at number 6 in my Jam of the Year rankings. So, I mean, it beat the New Orleans one, which I thought was really good that I got to see in person. So, I thought it was outstanding. I had a lot to say about it, but I really just wanted to focus on after they slow it down to a crawl almost, what Rick and Trevor start doing from there, where they run those intersecting lines, which is kind of similar to what they were doing in the All I Need that I love so much from the night before. Also, throw Stewart into that camp as well, just kind of weaving in and out of what they're doing. I just thought that was absolutely awesome before they put the pedal to the metal and Cotter just said, "I'm the captain now," and they ran with that.
He's so good.
Dude,
He's
my guy
so good
Cotter.
at being the
Yeah,
captain now. Honestly, I will say, like he really takes on
yeah,
that role. He's like, no, this is where we're going, and you have no say in it. And as a drummer, I can
exactly.
appreciate that. Like it's kind of awesome. But I think, and this is a year or 2 years ago at this point, but I spoke to that when he first joined the band. Like the guy has such good feel for music and jams in general. He just knows where the music needs to go, and I think that that's such a proponent for a jam band that improvises the way that Goose improvises. So, I mean, he may be taking the reins, but he's taking the reins in a good way, and I think he's not doing it at Rick or Peter or Trevor's expense. So,
It's what Rick wants him to do, and I've said it before on here, but I have never ever Rick has chemistry with everyone. I mean, he's just like that gifted and that talented. But I will say, like specifically, I've never seen a drummer and lead guitarist have the type of chemistry that they have, where it's just like a wink from Rick or like a nod from Cotter, and the tempo changes, and they're just like on it, and it's just I can tell like this was what Rick was looking for when he added Cotter to the band. Like you can tell, like I understand exactly why you made this choice musically, and it's for the better of
Rick
everyone.
finishes his solo, and he looks up and he nods at Cotter, and Cotter knows exactly what groove to lay back into. I mean, that
Yeah.
is special. So,
Yep. 100%.
It's
it
his
really
superpower,
is
man.
on
Like,
both of their
it's
parts.
the same thing with
On both of their
Handini.
parts,
Like,
I think.
Yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say it's kind of like Handini's superpower too, of like finding like the perfect accompanying
Agreed.
layering at times. That's like his superpower. You might not be the most technically proficient at playing keys, but like he can find that perfect tone
Feel
to accompany anything
Feel
that the
goes
band's
so
doing.
much further than technicality in the jam band world. I mean, obviously the technicality has to
Yes.
be there
Hmm.
first, but the feel comes in almost like we're talking about 1A and 1B. I think that 1A is technicality and 1B is feel. And if you don't have the feel, like,
Yeah.
then you don't have the jams. So I think we're in a good
Hmm.
spot
Yeah.
with these guys.
I think they're
Right.
gonna figure it
Yeah.
out. They're gonna be all right. uh, really quick tangent story. I haven't told Mike this yet. I was waiting for this episode, but on our flight back home, Cotter was on our first leg of the flight, sitting literally right in front of Sarah. Um, so I handed him one of the Boy Meets Corn stickers, but you were making the joke about the "I am the captain now." I was kind of surprised he didn't just like go up and man the flight because the dude just was taking control all weekend. Um, I didn't want to
Yeah.
like bug him on the flight or anything. It's like the last place someone wants to talk is like on an airplane with their headphones on. So I just hand him the sticker real quick and just like was like, I'm gonna be shy and not say that we do the Slow Ready podcast, but he did laugh at the
Nice.
sticker.
I mean, you met him at the gorge, right? So
Yeah, yeah, but he was
it's all
so
fair.
blitzed. I don't think he remembers that.
That's also fair.
Yeah, but yeah, he's the man. And like he was taking the reins all weekend, but this Western Sun I think was the best example of it of the
Agreed.
whole weekend.
Yeah. And then we get an interesting media
Yeah.
placement.
And
Yeah, short
yeah,
but
that's what I was
electric.
gonna say. Like, you know, I don't know what to expect because I think the last time they played it was in New Orleans. And that was what,
Mhm.
16 or 17 minutes, and so they played that. It's hard not to dance to that intro. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
love that song at this point. It took a little bit for it to grow on me, but you know, short and sweet. It didn't end up getting jammed out, and we ended up getting the Torero that we were all wanting for spring tour. And then we got it in Mexico. So
So, what you think about the new arrangement of Torero, Griff? Because I know what Mike thinks, and I'm gonna wait for him to
I'm
go
not
after
gonna
you.
talk. I'm not gonna say a single word about it. I'm just gonna let you guys talk about Torero. I don't
I
have
don't have a
anything to say.
problem with it, and I figured that that was why it hadn't been played. I'm like, it's coming on the album, you know, like they haven't played it in a while. It's probably not going to sound the same as we've heard in the past. Um, I will just admittedly say that Torero hasn't been my favorite from the jump. So, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of an opinion on the restructuring of the song, but it was good to hear it at least. You know, I knew it was going to come back into rotation at some point. It was just a matter of when. It was good to at least hear that there was a reason why it hadn't been played in so long, and I don't know, we'll see where the new arrangement takes us. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes because there wasn't really a jam to this one like we had seen from the jump with the original arrangement. But I'm gonna come out and say that the new arrangement of Torero fucking rips live. Especially, I wasn't as sold on it. I'm still very attached to the old arrangement, but I definitely wasn't like 100% sold from the studio cut. But we had D James Goodwin on last year, and I took our friend's advice to like keep an open mind and set it aside until I saw or heard a live version and let it like ruminate a little bit. Um, and I think if we hadn't ever heard Torero like in the original iteration, like there wouldn't be as much divisiveness about it because I think it just kind of is its own thing. Like it, if they had made this into like a completely different song, I think people would be vibing with it more. Um,
that really
but
is what
my
it.
main
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Alex, go ahead.
no, no worries. Go
I
ahead.
think that's the main thing that's kind of, you know, causing opinions to flare is, you know, we heard it one way for a while and then now we're hearing it a new way. I think the original version was a little bit more, I felt a little bit more of a Latin vibe to it, if that makes sense. Like there's a little bit of more of a Latin flair, and hearing it live, it was very bassy, is how it kind of felt like, or just kind of like groove oriented, and there was less of that kind of, I don't know, salsa flair, whatever you want to call it. So it's just, you know, you got to get used to it, and I'm sure people will get used to it after a while. And maybe I think there is potential for them to go back to the original arrangement as we've seen with other songs. So
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, this is the '80s style. My friend Debbie sent a message when they debuted the studio cut that it sounds like Miami Vice. Like it's totally the vibe of like the main part of the song. And you talk about the bass. It reminded me a lot of like Amongster
Yeah,
seeing that live in the sense where like the bass is like ripping through everyone's chest
yeah.
when you see that in
That's how
person.
it felt live, absolutely,
Um,
was I was like, "What is" I remember being like I was like, "What is this song?" And I was like, "Oh shit, it's Torero." Like, we're finally getting it. It didn't feel like Torero before they started playing it, so
no, and then we got what I can only assume is the Faena jam that's going to be on the album. It's the dueling guitars part. Starts more in that atmospheric kind of like synthy
mhm.
space early, and then a big unison shot from the band, and then Rick starts playing that like that lick, that Latin lick. Um, I agree with y'all in the sense that the song does not feel Latin up until this point, but this part they definitely salsaed it up more, especially when I went back and forth between the versions. Just the drumming that Cotter's doing is more of like that bell on the hi hat, like looser feel, and Trevor's actually playing like a Latin bass lick on it versus it being like more of like a normal rocking rhythm section with the more Latin feel from Rick and Trevor, which I thought was kind of nice twist on it. I wish the section was longer. If I'm being honest, I really loved this part of the original arrangement, but I thought the way they rearranged at least that dueling guitar part was kind of cool, and I like that it builds more so on this version. So like Rick's playing it solo, and then it kind of builds and builds, and Peter starts doing just like chords, like more of like a traditional duo, like you'd see playing on the street, like acoustic guitars, and then for the final run through, then Peter starts playing the lick, and it becomes like the true dueling guitars part to take us to the outro. Um, but yeah, really have enjoyed this more than I thought I would from when I first heard the studio cut. But I know it's very divisive, and now I want to hear what Mike thinks.
Do we want to hear what Mike thinks?
Yeah, dude, come on, let's get real.
I really don't like it at all. I'm not going to change my mind on it, and it's not because of how Torero used to sound. I just think it's objectively worse. There was a punchiness from the verse to the chorus that's now gone. I absolutely despise when we get to the chorus and now it's like guitar strum, 5 second pause, guitar strum, 5 second pause. Like I just it does nothing for me, and it robs the song of all the energy that it used to have. So like to me, like it's not even about like the Latin flavors missing, which it is. It's like the song doesn't even like make me tap my feet anymore. So it's dead to me. I hope the other version is still out there.
I will say
You
I
heard it here
will
first,
say,
folks.
yeah, that's crazy. Not crazy, we're all entitled to our own opinion, but like, I mean, if you think about some of the songs that they've gone back and restructured a little bit, like I think about Spirit of the Dark Horse a little bit and SOS, like those songs kind of came to fruition as you gave them time. I'm not ready to say one version is better than the other. I think I do kind of like the original way it was structured more, but like the I don't want to project or like make a prediction that's not right, but like I feel like there's a theme to this album that they're trying to come up on, and maybe the restructuring aligns with the theme. That's all that I can really guess at this point. So
Well, and I think that kind of like gets more to what I actually think is my problem and why I'm having an issue or disconnect is I have kind of, and I don't like doing this prematurely, but I've kind of come to the conclusion with what we've heard so far that I'm not going to be the target audience for this album. I love Chain Your Dragon. I was a really big fan of a lot of parts of Everything Must Go, but I don't think that what they're going for on this album necessarily is going to be directed for me, but that's okay. Like not all of it has to be. And I'll be completely clear, like Good to Be has grown on me. I did not like the single, but now having heard as many live versions as I have, I'm a pretty big
yeah,
fan of it in the live setting. So nothing's impossible. I may end up coming around on this, but um, the over 80s-ization of it is just I don't I
Well,
think it
while
misses
we're
me.
while we're on the
Yeah.
topic of the album briefly, I do just want to say we got all three of the four songs that we know are going to be on the album that set, and there was a notorious omission from the entire festival, and that was Big Modern, obviously, which
Big modern.
feels intentional with the amount that it was played in Spring
Yes.
Tour. So, and to get all three of those songs in set one of night three, I don't know what to make of that. I don't have any sort of analysis there. I don't know if that's intentional or not. I don't know if they felt like they needed to play those songs that set. I don't know if they just felt like the song placement was right. But to me, that's been the biggest thing from Mexico that's kind of like keeping me up at night, so to speak, is I'm like, why did all three of those songs get played set one night three, and why didn't Big Modern get played at all? So
Well, it did get played in Mexico the year before. That was the only thing
okay.
that I could think of, was that they played Big Modern last year there, but even so, like, I don't think that that should have stopped it. Like, I'm kinda with
Mhm.
you, like, if you're doing, like, an album run of songs, like,
And
why not throw
Torero
Big
got
Modern in
played.
there? It just makes all the
Torero got
sense in the
its
world.
first time played in
Yeah,
Mexico
Torero
last
got
year.
played.
So, and I'm not like
That's true too.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's intriguing. I think the stats are
it is
crazy.
interesting.
Just looking at it, in a vacuum. So yeah, that's my take there.
100%.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Mike is going to have a Take a Hike Mike set list written
Take a
about
hike,
him,
Mike.
opening up with Guerrero studio cut. Um, and you're going to hear it
I
80
should be
times
so
this year.
lucky. I wanna see what they come up with for the H song.
They'll figure it out.
Right?
Hell's
Yeah, they
bells.
pulled out kung fu fighting. I mean, hey.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
Let's finish this up.
yeah, Creatures. I thought this was a really fun version. What did y'all think of this set 2 opener?
I said multiple times at set break, we got a fat creatures opening up set two. So it was nice to, call that one. And again, was Bogey on the clarinet that set? Yeah, that's what I thought. I
He
thought that
did.
that was a nice touch. Like the clarinet over the saxophone was strangely what's the right word? Spooky, maybe? I don't know. Like it kind of like added the
Mhm.
right undertones to
Yeah.
creatures relative to just like a vibey saxophone. So that was cool.
Yeah, it was like spooky. It was a little trippy. It was like that swirling lick early on really set the tone for the jam right from the jump. And he really becomes the center of the jam right as soon as the song ends, and Rick just starts kind of swimming around him. And eventually, once Trevor really takes the lead and like we're gonna ramp this thing up to like a goons fest, he locks into like that Michael Jackson style funky riff he likes to get into, and it starts that slow build into the goons. And that's when Stuart Bowie starts using like that chorusy effect on his clarinet that gives the extra octave sound to it that makes it even more trippy, and it becomes like extra apparent um that those extended notes are just going to be like the highlight of this thing that he's ripping out. And it's so cool to hear while the rest of the band is gooncing. It's such a cool dynamic sound we've never quite heard before. um and it's just really like a sustained peak at that point, and that's only halfway through the jam. And then Stuart Bogie switches over to the saxophone and decides we're going to peak on top of the peak, um, which is just absolutely insane. And all the while during this, Cotter's playing the hardest maybe I've ever seen him play, going absolutely ham. He's going so hard that like the Nugs feed we tried to rip is going all blurry and
Mm-hmm.
like granulated because
Don't get
he's
me
not.
started.
he's not
Yeah,
stopping moving and he's moving so fast. Um, and they just ride that sustained energy that they already started off from to an even higher wave, and it just is insane. And somehow, some way, find a way to simmer down quickly to that this old C transition. But whew, it's a heater. Like, it might not be the most dynamic, epic peak you ever heard in your life, but like it's one of like the peakiest peaks I can remember in a long time.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it's like one of the most interesting jams for the weekend, but it's definitely like one of the most energetic and fun from the weekend. And I'll just say, I really like the 3 chord progression they hit at the end that they all rally around and just bring this home with a huge bang. It was excellent.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. There's definitely layers to it, but it's not like dynamic or unexpected in any way outside of what Stewart's adding to it. If you catch my drift, it's just like the best of what they do with that Goons vibe, with the marimba going and all that. Like it just hit hard.
Yeah, and then they cool it down perfectly with the best cool down song in the catalog. And I will stand behind it. I know we say that too much, but this is the best cool down song in the
Listen,
catalog.
I'm gonna change my mind with every cooldown we hear because I agree.
Stuart made it
Yeah,
even
I
better
mean, that
though.
was I thought that he really added a lot of nuance to that jam. Like, that jam is always a treat to hear. That song is always a treat to hear. But like having him in the background was great. Um, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I was a little blindsided by the next 3 songs, and I forgot about that song honestly a little bit. But I do remember, there was a moment where I'm like, wow, Bogey's really hitting this right. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
it's a super short version, but it was a
yeah,
nice touch with Bowie on it. And um, I mean, the song is always like stunning and emotionally hits, no matter how long it is. Even if they played like one verse of it or something, it would
yeah.
still hit. I feel like. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's get into the next song because I know Mike is like gonna talk for an hour.
No, 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 no. This is definitely not my highlight of the weekend. Yeah, I want to hear y'all first. I wasn't there. I didn't get to see Jim James forehead to forehead with Rick, so we should hear from the people that were there first. I could wax poetic about this Madhavan for a while, though.
I don't know. I mean, Madhavan is one of my favorite Goose songs, so I tend to get hyped like every time it gets played. For me, my top three, my number one has and always will be Into the Mist, and then 2 and 3 are tied with Arrow and Madhavan. So, um, whenever I hear that song, I get really hyped. So, you know, I I hear the opening strums, I immediately get excited. I know kind of where the song is going, and start to dance my ass off a little bit. And we get down in the depths of the spooky jam, and I know we're gonna come out of that, and then they come out of it, and I'm just kind of expecting a somewhat normal Madhavan, maybe hoping for the best, maybe hoping for some screeching solo from Rick by the end, but then like Jim coming out on stage completely takes me off guard. Like I remember like everyone in the crowd is like, "Wait, who is that?" I'm like, "Holy fuck, that's Jim James!" Like just came on stage like during the middle of the Madhavan jam. Like what the actual fuck is going on? And yeah, I mean, I just to the top, like no holds barred, like Jim just absolutely rocking out on stage, like just bad to the bone, like rock and roll. Like that was really cool to see, and one of my favorite songs that I'd love to see. So that was. It's tough to say what my highlight of the weekend is, but that one's definitely up there. It's a top three, probably tied with the Center Man from night two, and then maybe a Western Sun from the first set. So
Yeah, I mean, there's some really, really great improv to pick from. There's not really a bad answer from this Gonzo, especially compared to last Gonzo. I feel like a lot more interesting stuff going on, and I know I'm attendance bias and all that. So, shout out if I'm wrong, but um, this Madhuvan was by far my highlight. Like, I know it's funny you say like we always know what to expect early on in the Madhuvan, but like the way that once it gets off that off ramp, it's like, whew,
Mhm.
where are we going now? But I'm starting off in the far reaches of space on this thing, and then kind of taking the like they had obviously rehearsed this or something, but they did this like unison ascending riff up to take us through like the mind melt and throw us through the wormhole to get us into like this suddenly upbeat, but not quite bliss zone, I would say. Like it's just like happy. Um, and Rick and Peter are displaying their great chemistry immediately with the two guitar goose dancing around each other seamlessly. And Peter starts leaning into like these crunchy chords, starting to signal a change into the next section of the jam. But the band is happy to continue to explore longer in this zone un- until Trevor kind of finally takes the reins from Peter and dancing around with Rick. And that's when like things start to get really interesting because the tension starts building slowly from there and things start getting more and more sinister, leading to that section just before Jim James hops in that kind of was giving me hints of the two big Madhuvans from February a little bit. It wasn't like quite as intense as those ones, but it was giving me like those sinister vibes and so, like hints of that. Um, and we've talked about those ad nauseum, so I won't talk about that much more. But it immediately builds and builds to a charging metal headbanging zone, and then out of nowhere, Jim James just walks up on stage, plugs in unannounced, and we're now in three guitar goose mode, and his sound fits it fits in perfectly. Like he puts his forehead right on Rick's forehead, and the Maya meld starts immediately. And both he and Rick start trading off these higher register licks between each other before Rick finally takes over to take it to the finish line. But whew, it's hot, and they're like locked in, and it is truly like an old school kind of rock show, like you said, Griff. Um, all the while, once again, Cotter's just relentless on his kit, like hitting even harder than Creature somehow. And Trevor's actually is absolutely in lockstep with him all the way. Even moving around more than usual. He was super into the Jim James appearance, like clearly feeding off the energy. So, um, and I think they were feeding off the crowd's energy, reacting to being like, "Oh shit, Jim's on stage," because half of us have our eyes closed for parts of the jam, and you look up and suddenly he's up there. Um, yeah, just a momentous sit-in, maybe the greatest sit-in that's ever happened from this point on. And I think this Madhuvan's gonna age like fine wine once we like cool our jets and have some time to breathe on it. But it's already like up there for people, and I think it's just going to continue to move up people's list of their favorite moments. Sorry, I rambled there.
Oh, you're good. Worth
No,
it.
100%. Yeah, I think that like, especially when you say factor in what I said earlier about Jim James is not supposed to be there. He's just going off of vibes and like I'm gonna plug in now. Like it just makes it like so much cooler. And I'll say as well, like you gave so many specifics, but like just more from like a vibe perspective. I mean, me and my girlfriend were struggling on night 3 to stay awake on the time change on the East Coast. So I mean, at set break, we were both like taking bets as to who was going to pass out first. And I thought every song of set 2, I'm going to pass out now. I'm going to pass out now. And then it just never happened because by the time we're in this throes of this Madhavan, it's just like, yeah, bedtime's not going to happen. Like, what are we talking about? Um, I love the early part where they're gonna go dark. Like Madhavan has been going pretty much constantly lately, but then they pivot major key and like they all go like circular riffs for a while and then they go back to minor. That was really cool. You don't get that in a first section of Madhavan too often. The whole psych out on that, like we're going positive. No, we're not. Fuck you. It's gonna be mean. The descending bombs from Trevor are great. Just a ton of distortion. And then when Jim James comes on, like I'm never going to forget that forehead to forehead moment the rest of my life. And I wasn't even there, but he just adds like more edge and jet fuel to what is already a rocking jam. Um, I don't think that we're gonna like see this like flavor of sit in for quite a while, if ever. But I love the last section. I thought that aggressive 2 chord thrash metal that they get into definitely reminded me of like Milwaukee or Grand Rapids. Just like that aggressive balls to the wall. It's not like complex, but it is awesome. Um, and they just all rode the wave together, and it was just really cool to see. Definitely going to be one of the
Yeah.
highlights of the year. I feel
I
like.
mean, I don't think there's any question there.
It's one of those things too, Mike, where like you feel the energy when you listen to the boards, but it's like never, it's still like always like 10, 20% less energy than you felt like seeing at the show. Like
That's what I
it's
was gonna
just
say, Alex. You
ludicrous
said
there.
that he walked on stage. I'm like, in my head, he like moonwalked on stage, and he like used the force to grab the guitar that he was using. Like that's how it felt. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. It was
I mean, I missed the forehead to forehead thing because I was just like locked in, like fucking vibing, dancing with my crew. And I look up at the end and I'm like, it sounds like there's like an extra guitar up there. And I look up and Jim James is just rocking out, headbanging. I was like, holy shit, when did he get up there? Like,
it was
and it
such a
just blew my
scene,
mind.
and like literally him somehow, and we can talk about this going into the next two songs too, but like somehow the showman that he is, he could still take a step back and let Rick lead while still being the showman and commanding the crowd to a certain degree, if that makes sense. Like I don't know if that makes sense to people that weren't there, but like it was so like uncanny, honestly. Like you're like, how is this guy like leading the show but also not at the same time? Like it was really special to see. So
He's the fucking
What I
man,
want to say
dude.
too, like what I think from afar watching that's so special about Gonzo is that Goose has really got this like rare thing established where it just seems like the environment is just like facilitates an attitude of like, hey, anyone can sit in at any time.
right.
And I think like it almost like has this vibe of like it's a festival for musicians. Like anyone that like truly just likes playing music is going to thrive here because you're just free to do what you want to do and guess with who you want to guess with. And I think that them like kind of facilitating that environment makes moments like this possible where they just wouldn't happen at a normal show where a guy of Jim James stature can just feel comfortable like
In the
walking
middle of
on
a
and
jam,
yeah, we're
like
gonna
not
pick it up
even
from
just
here,
like,
boys. Like,
between
yeah,
songs, like they're they're in the
they're already in it.
throes of the
And
Madhuvan
Rick was
jam,
so happy. I've never
right?
seen him more
Yeah, I'm
happy.
like, man, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fluid environment.
He was grinning ear to ear. He was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, more of this." Like, Rick was just like, "Yeah, I
yeah,
love this. Do more of it." Like,
yeah.
it was so cool to
Agreed.
see.
I'm getting like goosebumps just like hearing y'all geek out about it because like in the it's I still haven't processed
It
how
was
cool that
sick.
was. Like you
No,
never see that happen
Yeah.
on their biggest jammer that they have in the
right?
catalog, arguably. I mean, in my opinion, it is. And he just hops on stage like, oh, this is like one of the most badass versions already. I'm gonna make it even more badass. So fucking cool.
Nonchalant too. I mean,
And he
whole thing.
and he stays to close
Right?
down the whole
Yeah.
set.
I
Is
was gonna say
even more
we
crazy.
go from um one of the biggest jams in the catalog, like you said, Alex, to remind me if that was a first time played or not. I don't, was it? Okay.
Yeah, first
To
time
a
played.
first time played by Neil Young, who, I grew up near where Neil Young grew up. Like that's a sleepy town, like, and that's kind of a sleepy song to a certain degree, and they like really put the power on it is what I want to say. Like it just like that's to me, I would compare that song to the Hey Joe in set one of night one, where I'm just like the whole crowd is just dialed in at that moment. It's not like a jam where everyone's dancing, like everyone's like, what am I even seeing right now? So that's me for Cortez.
I mean, 2 Neil covers in six
Yeah.
months is amazing. Huge Neil Young fan. I'm pretty sure I've worn the T-shirt on this podcast more times than any other. Probably people think I don't do my laundry. My Neil Young tie dye, but a huge fan. And like a shout out to the corner of Gray Street boys. They interviewed Rick and his love for Dave Matthews and all that, and he talked about listening to Central Park. And this version with like the two vocalists and the two guitarists was clearly inspired by like that Warren Haynes and Dave Matthews version a little bit. The arrangement of trading verses and things like that, and singing that kind of arrangement. But this is its own flavor. Like Rick and Jim are totally different vocalists and totally different guitarists, and I think their voices together sound absolutely gorgeous. They displayed that the night before on the acoustic set, and that just came to even bigger fruition on this Cortez. And like I said earlier, like I had never really pieced it together, even though I told my wife the day prior like 8 times that Jim James commands a room like Neil Young does. How good of a Neil Young impression this guy does, because he should do more Neil covers. But yeah, I think that will be a lot of people's highlight from the weekend, and rightfully so. It's a big bust out, huge first time played, and man, it was like the entire crowd was mesmerized by it.
I couldn't believe it was happening, and I don't like making the comparison because I'm not even that much of a Dave guy. I haven't been to a show in 2 years now, but the Central Park version was what I had in my head when it started playing because I've seen Rick in at least 4 different interviews talk about how much he listens to that live album. Even like when he's at parties and stuff, he'll put it on for other people. So when you go back though and listen to that version, like Warren Haynes kind of dominates that version and it's great. Like, don't get me wrong, but I kind of like the flavor that this has with like Peter's keys are a lot more audible.
Hmm.
There's a more like, not that it's like super mellow, but just more mellow than that version, which is more like bluesy rock. Um, and so I like that, like, while Rick was probably inspired by that version, he completely did his own thing with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, this was awesome.
No, it was really just the trading lines like in the format.
Yeah,
I feel like that inspired it, but it was truly like its own standout version in that way. You just don't see
definitely.
two vocalists trading it off very often
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Anything else on Cortez?
Rockdale
Last song, man.
closer.
Oh, real quick, just another nod to the Sea of Cortez for this Cortez the Killer. Just throwing another Mexico reference in,
Oh, I didn't even catch
um,
that.
which is
I
Yeah,
didn't even catch
whoa.
that. Good call.
um, yeah, had to shout out the Sea of Cortez being right there by the venue. But let's get into this Rockdale. It was a really short one, really cool one, great sing along. What'd you think,
I
Griff?
mean, it was just cool to see Jim out there still. Again, that's like a testament of the relationship and the rapport that they've built together on stage. I mean, clearly the guy just feels comfortable out there playing with the band. I don't know if he's so comfortable because he knows Goose's catalog because he's like a genuine fan, or if he just feels like the chemistry with the band or what the situation is. But like I thought it was cool. I'm like, okay, like you said, like Rick came on during, or Jim came on with Rick during Madhavan, and then we get the Cortez cover, and then he's still out there for Rockdale. It, for better or for worse, it almost left me wondering like what is next, when I should have just been appreciating, Jim is still out on stage. And I thought that, Rockdale was fun to see him play on. So, and I thought it was a good closer to the weekend. It's not my favorite song usually, but I never don't dance to it when I see it live. Double negative. But yeah. Um yeah, I mean, it was fun. Like I said, I mean, just the whole situation. So, it was a good time.
Yeah, yeah, that's really well said. I can't add much more. I think it's a great song for a guest spot when you have another singer on stage of that caliber. Because it's a sing along song, and you get both all the vocalists together, just kind of like kumbayaing to some Rockdale, and get a little short jam on it. But um, It's kind of one of those songs that can work in any slot, and it works great as a closer. It works great as like a gap filler to like no matter how long you have left in the show, you can play it. As Mike has said so much more eloquently than me in the past. Um, so yeah, I mean, obviously, like when you have a guest spot that monumental, like you said, Griff, it's like hard to not want the night to never end. So it does make it harder to appreciate it when it's like, oh my god, I
Right.
want so much more. But after the fact, reflecting on it, I thought the 3 song run with Jim
Mhm.
was
I mean,
awesome.
I lost track of space and time at that point. I'm like, I wasn't expecting Rockdale to close out the show, basically. I'm like, they got another one in them, and then Peter's like, "That's it. We'll see ya." And I'm like, "What? With 3 straight songs with Jim? That's insane." Like, my brain didn't even have time to, like, process the whole thing. So, yeah, I mean, it was great. I just, like, was elsewhere mentally. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, what you think, Mike?
No, 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 you're fine. I kind of felt like this felt like a bonus song to me. I felt like they could have closed it with that ridiculous Madavon and Cortez and called it a day because that was just such an epic conclusion. I generally I think prefer Rockdale as like a set one opener. I think it works better there than it does here, but it's always a good song and it's kind of like Drive in that it's like a one size fits all. I like it more when it's jammed out, but it can work anywhere. It was cool to see Jim James on vocals on a Goose original. But I think the biggest takeaway I had from this, as far as like ending the festival, the only thing that kept running through my brain was I was like, this is where it really pays dividends, the indie groove side of Goose, because there's very few jam bands I feel like that would have the opportunity to pull people like Jim James or Vampire Weekend or acts like that and kind of merge it with the jam world. And I think that that's like one of their unique superpowers is that they're excellent at being just a pure jam band if that's your thing, and I feel like most of us are, but they also have this other side to them that other jam bands can't really as easily tap into. And that was kind of on full display at the end of this
Great
festival for
point.
me.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. Um, so it was sad once the final note was hit and Peter walked up on stage and said, "That's it." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's the end of Goose for this amazing weekend." But grateful for everything we got.
I was low key expecting an encore, but we didn't get one, and that's fair. I think that and this is an aside too. I think that there should be a tour where no encores are guaranteed and encores are only earned. JGB did that back in like the 70s or 80s at one point. But either way, I think it was cool actually that the Mexico shows didn't have an encore. Like you knew that when they were done playing, it was time to go somewhere else. So night three, I think was the second, in my opinion, was the second best of the 3 nights. I really liked night two, but that's just because I'm partial to the Goons. So yeah, it was a good weekend all in all.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to pick between night 2 and night 3. I think I lean night 3, but my
Both
wife would tell
great.
you I seesawed between those 2 plenty. Um, they're both such good shows. Night 1's the
And that
lowest on my
says
totem
so
pole for
much
sure, but
because it
still
was
really
it
fun.
was still, I mean, you take that
Yeah.
show and put it anywhere else in the country and it's, a show that everyone's talking about the next day. So I think that, kind of
Yeah.
Alex, I think you alluded to this earlier, like the shows in Mexico were a little lackluster last year, maybe, for some fans. And I think they really stepped the game up a bit this year, especially with the sit ins, especially with the jams. There were a lot of first time plays in Mexico last year. We didn't get a whole lot of that except for a few covers, but I think from like a jam band purist perspective, like it was a great weekend in Mexico. So
Yeah. I mean, lackluster isn't really the word I would use, but I think they focus more on playing like 4 or 5 songs in a set this year and like making them interesting and unique because I know it's like most diehard of diehard fans there. And last year it was a
Mhm.
lot more songy. I feel like they were like trying to put out a lot of debuts, a lot of new covers, things like that. So like there wasn't as much stuff that you can like sit and chew on and
Right.
like digest
Yeah,
for months after the
lackluster
show.
wasn't the right word, but I agree with what you're saying. So, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, plus the vibes were probably even more immaculate last year
Yeah,
because it was
true.
like half the people. Um,
Very true.
Yeah,
um,
it was an excellent weekend. I don't, it's hard to find much fault in it because even night one, like you said, Griff, like night one's a really good show on a normal tour.
yeah, that closing 1, 2, 3 Electric Avenue through So Ready
That
is
would blow
insane.
so many people's
All great. Yeah.
minds in, Des Moines, Iowa, or wherever, they choose to play on this next tour,
Yeah.
following summer tour. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to complain about really at all. It was a great weekend.
Yeah. So that's it for Goose. I mean, the festival closed with Pigeons playing ping pong and DJ Marv Menthal's, but my old ass was too tired, and I looked at my wife Sarah and said,
I
"Let's
had
go
an
home."
early flight the next day, and I did the exact same thing. I'm sure they were both a great time. And as much as Pigeons gets hated on, I will say I've never had a bad time at a Pigeons show. So,
Yeah.
there's that, and
They're fun.
you know, how could a Trev DJ set not be fun either? So, yeah, I mean, great weekend, great structure too, whole thing. We'll do it again next year. Hopefully, Mike, you're there.
Yeah, man. I I will say real quick about DJ Marv Menthol is like I saw the pictures and videos from it and it looked amazing. I wish I could hang like that, but seeing like the vintage image, black and white images of like ladies smoking like an
Yeah.
old ad or something behind him, and then him every time he hit a drop, he'd like huck out a pack of cigarettes to the crowd. It's just hysterical, and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the bit is great for DJ Marv
Absolutely.
Menthols. Um, seemed like a great way to close out the fest.
Straight up.
Definitely.
All right. Well, normally we'd do like rapid fire with you, Griff, but we're already 3 hours into this thing, so maybe we'll save that
That
for next time you're on
works.
the
I'll be
pod.
back if y'all want me.
We'll have you on a non 3 hour
Yeah,
episode like a
that
normal one.
works. I'd love to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So that does it for Gonzo. Any other thoughts, closing, guys?
Don't fucking fly in the day of the festival unless you want to miss one of your favorite jam bands play with your other favorite jam band. Seriously, listen to me. That's my only thought. That's my only regret. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
Live and learn
and
from
like
Griff.
not taking the time to adjust to the time difference is like a snowballing effect of like
It
fucking up
just
your
gets
your
worse
sleep
throughout the
and
day.
making
You
you
don't
more tired.
realize it until like you're
It's
like,
worse for
yeah,
me.
no, exactly. Y'all being on the East Coast and me being in Central Time. So yeah, it was not a fun experience in that regard, but everything else was great. So
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely also want to shout out once again the town of San Jose del Cabo is magical, and there's a reason they do the festival there. Some of the best meals I've ever had in my life. Um, amazing. Like you can like walk up to like margarita bars on the street, and they're all amazing. Like using like straight passion fruit and shit, in their drinks and all that. Like it's crazy to see that. Um, it was awesome, and there was like multiple times on this weekend too where like we'd walk into a restaurant and there'd be like a fan by themselves or like two people that we bumped into that we know, and we just like be like, "Hey, you want to sit with us?" And we'd all just like
Mhm.
be at the restaurant sitting together, and it was such a cool like community vibe that you don't
And
get
then
most
everyone
places.
in the
And
airport on
um,
Sunday was wearing Goose or Jam Band merch. Like somebody posted that on Reddit and I agreed with it. I was like, they should have literally a set in the airport on Sunday because like half the festival's there. So yeah, it was a good time.
I heard someone was calling up
Yeah,
for Jed Stone on the
yeah.
PA or
Somebody,
something.
somebody called for Jed Stone on the PA, which is, shenanigans. Who can blame him,
Oh my god. Oh, yeah. It's
right?
Goose fans gonna goose, man. But it was really like awesome vibes all around,
Yeah,
Mike. We missed you there, man. Hopefully you can make it sometime.
Yeah, for sure. It's okay. I'll comfort myself with the summer tour coming up here soon, so we'll be good.
And if you've made it this far into the episode, send the word comfort to slowreadypod@gmail.com and I'll send you a sticker.
All right. Well, anything else, y'all?
No, that's it. Let's go to bed.
Let's wrap this up. Thank y'all so much to anyone that made it this far. Really appreciate you listening to this recap, and we will be back shortly with y'all to get into Europe. So can't wait to do that, and we'll talk with you soon.
Let's do it. See
peace,
y'all.
guys.